Chapter 935. During the Inheritance War, all those who had followed Yang Kai had obtained huge benefits. Little senior sister Xia Ningchang had used her myriad drug liquid to create a pool of medicinal liquid that allowed them to be reborn and purified, improving their aptitude to varying degrees. Hua Stars and Qiu Yi Meng, as well as other important figures, had obtained even greater benefits. It could be said that their future achievements would not be too low. Even if they stayed in the central capital, they could still break through to the transcendent realm. After 10 years, Qiu Yi Meng had already reached the peak immortal ascension boundary, but Hua Stars, who was not inferior to her, was only at the 6th stage, which surprised Yang Kai. Yang Kai couldn't understand why his cultivation had fallen so far behind. Listening to Yang Kai's question, many people in the Yang family hall snickered, as if they knew the inside story. Qiu Yi Meng covered her mouth and couldn't help laughing. Hua Stars wore a bitter expression as he cried, "Young Lord Kai, you don't know, this brother's life is very hard," he continued. Yang Kai's expression became extremely strange as he became speechless. The Hua family was one of the central capital's 8 great families, but the previous generation's patriarch, Hua Zheng, only had one son, Hua Stars, while he had a large number of daughters, all of whom he regarded as treasures and cared for in every way possible. After Hua Stars took over the position of patriarch, the Hua family elders learned a painful lesson from the previous generation's patriarch and began to arrange marriages for Hua Stars, allowing him to start a family. Over the past 10 years, the Hua family had selected more than a dozen young ladies for Hua Stars to fill his harem. Hua Stars, under the coercion of many of his elders, worked hard every day to prolong the Hua family's bloodline. Working so hard, it would be strange if Hua Stars' cultivation didn't fall behind. This young lord already has 15 concubines and 1 wife. Stars Hua looked at Yang Kai with a bitter expression. He patted his shoulder and sighed, "I'll introduce them to you when I have the chance. Although they are all beauties, this young master is really unable to do so." Yang Kai looked at him sympathetically and didn't know what to say. After thinking for a long time, he said, "My condolences." Everyone in the hall burst into laughter. It seemed that news of Yang Kai's return had already spread. Following Qiu Yi Meng and Hua Xing, the other young patriarchs of the 8 great families all came to the Yang family. Meng family patriarch Meng Shan Yi, Lu family patriarch Lu Qing Yao, Kong family patriarch Kong Jian, Gao family patriarch Gao Rang Xian, Yi family patriarch Yi Jing Li. Of these 5, Meng Shan Yi and Lu Qing Yao were quite familiar with Yang Kai, but he didn't know much about the remaining 3. Naturally, they had come together this time because they had heard the news of Yang Kai's return and how he had defeated the free and unfettered. They wanted to ask what they should do next. Learning that Yang Kai wanted to take the Yang family away from the central capital and go to Tongxian realm, the 5 of them couldn't make a decision for a while. A family's affairs were not something they could casually decide. On top of that, they also had concerns. During the Inheritance War, the ones who had the closest relationship with Yang Kai were naturally the Hua family and the Qiu family. Qiu Yi Meng and Hua Xing had also been assisting Yang Kai, so it was natural for them to follow Yang Kai now. However, the remaining 5 families had all opposed Yang Kai in the past. Now that things had changed, they didn't know how to take a stand. Yang Kai casually invited them to follow him to Tongxian realm. The events of the past were already in the past, so Yang Kai didn't care. No matter what, these 5 families were still from the central capital. If he could help them, it was only a small matter for Yang Kai. However, the 5 of them all said that they would go back and carefully discuss with their respective elders before making a decision. After the 5 left, the hall was not quiet for long before countless more people arrived. All of them were friends of the Yang family who participated in the Inheritance War. 10,000 Flower Palaces Han Shaoqi, Yi Han, Lu Qing Ru, Hua Ruoyin. Water Moon Halls Feng Qian Hen. Pure Heart Palaces Li Xan Yuan. Reflecting Moon Sects Chen Shui Shu and Su Xiao Yu. Treasure Instrument Sects Tao Yang, Zhao Rong. Ghost King Valleys Lang Shan, Chen Yi, Chen In. After Yang Kai left, these people had been helping to rebuild the central capital. The Yang family was also grateful for their assistance to Yang Kai and had signed some contracts with the sects these people belonged to, leaving them in charge of managing the central capital. As such, these people had been living in the central capital, acting as the liaison between the Yang family and their respective sects. This time's disaster, none of them had been affected and all of them were unscathed. Old friends meeting again was a joyous occasion. The 4 girls from 10,000 Flower Palace had all grown up and had become more mature. After a lively exchange of pleasantries, Yang Kai told them about his plans for this trip and all of them said that they would consult their sect elders first before making a decision. After they left, Yang Kai said, "Second brother, discuss with the Elder Hall's people whether they want to come with me or not. Give me a reply as soon as possible, I'll be staying here for a while." "There's no need to discuss, ninth brother, since you've arranged everything, my Yang family will naturally follow you," Yang Zhao readily agreed. Everyone else also nodded, no one objecting. The Blood Warriors were even more excited, secretly happy to be able to follow their little lord and serve him again. "Good, then take advantage of this time to pack up your things and bring your most important things with you. As for the supplies, you can give them up, they won't be worth much in Tongxian realm," Yang Kai said before turning his eyes to Qiu Yimeng and Huixing. The Hua family young lord nodded, "Whatever Qiu Yimeng does, I will do. Her vision is much longer than mine. I'm going to take the Qiu family to Tongxian realm." Qiu Yimeng glanced over at him. Huixing shrugged his shoulders, "Then I'll go back and inform my father so the family can pack up quickly." Saying so, he quickly left. "Then we'll also pack up quickly." Yang Zhao stood up and ordered the Yang family members in the hall, just as ninth brother said, "Keep everything simple, don't bring anything you don't need." Everyone nodded and quickly dispersed. Soon, only Yang Kai, Li Rong, Han Fei, Qiu Yimeng, and Luo Xiaoman remained in the hall. "Master will wait for you outside." Li Rong pursed her lips and smiled before walking out together with Han Fei. With her eyesight, how could she have noticed that this girl named Qiu Yimeng was looking at her master with a strange look in her eyes? That kind of longing and obsession was simply impossible to hide. She had deliberately stayed behind because she wanted to be alone with Yang Kai for a while. "Elder sister Qiu, I'll also go out," Luo Xiaoman whispered and followed behind Li Rong and Han Fei. Inside the hall, the atmosphere was a bit strange as Qiu Yimeng just stared at Yang Kai without saying a word. Yang Kai couldn't help but ask, "Looking at your clothes and appearance, it seems you've never married. You're not young anymore." "I was waiting for you." Qiu Yimeng raised her head, revealing her slender white neck. "Don't joke around," Yang Kai laughed dryly. "Do I look like I'm joking around?" Qiu Yimeng coldly snorted, suddenly grit her teeth and said, "I know you have another woman in your heart, and I don't expect you to like me. The gap between you and me is too big, I have some self-awareness." Yang Kai stared at her helplessly. "But since you've come back, I'll be frank. You said before, you don't want to talk about love with me, just play around." "Did I say such a thing?" Yang Kai was stunned. "You did." Qiu Yimeng said angrily, biting her red lip and glaring at him. "So you know those words were too much, I thought you didn't know." "But I was young and frivolous. It doesn't matter, let's play around. I don't expect to be together forever, that's too unrealistic, and I don't want to continue to wait, suffering day by day. I just want to be together once." "Are you serious?" Yang Kai was dumbfounded, secretly shocked by Qiu Yimeng's bold words. "I don't care what you think of me, just wait until we reach Tongxian realm. After everything is settled, I'll let you know just how fierce I am." Saying so, Qiu Yimeng's tender body flickered as she rushed up, and regardless of whether Yang Kai was willing or not, she stood on her tiptoes and pressed her red lips against his. Kai Yang let out a pitiful cry and reached out to touch his lips. There was a burning sensation of pain. Qiu Yimeng turned around and walked away, her silvery bell-like laughter ringing out. "That's just interest. When we reach Tongxian realm, I'll make sure to collect both principal and interest." Yang Kai couldn't help thinking. After a stick of incense worth of time, Yang Kai walked out of the hall with a serious expression on his face. Li Rong and Han Fei, who were waiting outside, glanced over at him before quickly averting their eyes, both of them wanting to laugh but not daring to, their shoulders trembling as they struggled to hold back their laughter. "Laugh all you want, isn't it just being bitten by a woman?" Yang Kai rubbed his mouth, feeling like he had lost face. That girl is actually quite good. Li Rong said seriously, if she had been born in Tongxian realm, her current cultivation would definitely not be too low. This world restricts their development. Han Fei also agreed. That's why I want to take them away from here and experience a wider world. Yang Kai's eyes became deep. This world is too small. Although there are more dangers there are also better conditions. The two women nodded slightly. After a while, Yang Kai ordered, "You two stay in the Yang family and guard this place for the time being to avoid any unexpected situations." Li Rong was surprised. "Where is Master going?" "I still have 2 places to visit." "Then, why don't I accompany you or let Han Fei accompany you?" "No need, I'll be fine by myself. There's no need to worry about my safety. With the Flying Heavens shuttle, no one can catch up to me, so this world isn't dangerous." Li Rong thought about it for a moment and didn't insist, simply saying, "Then Master must be careful. Tell my father and mother that I have a lot of time to spend with them in the future," Yang Kai said, summoning the Flying Heavens shuttle and flying 100 kilometers away in a flash of blue light. Staring in the direction he disappeared, Li Rong and Han Fei's tender bodies flickered and also disappeared, rushing to the 4th Master's mansion to accompany his parents in place of Yang Kai. Chapter 936. Medicine King's Valley, Hidden Cloud Peak. With a flash of blue light, Yang Kai appeared. He didn't fly up directly but instead took the initiative to stop at the foot of the peak. This was a holy land in the hearts of all the world's alchemists. Here was where the world's #1 alchemist grandmaster, Xiao Fu Sheng, lived. Anyone who came here would not disregard etiquette and fly up the mountain. Many years ago, Yang Kai had spent some time in Medicine King's Valley. Although he had never learned the alchemic way from Grandmaster Xiao, this old man had taught Yang Kai many valuable lessons. On Yang Kai's path of growth, these lessons had helped him a lot. Yang Kai respected this kind grandmaster from the bottom of his heart, as well as the 2 beautiful women who served him. They had given Yang Kai the best resources they could. Yang Kai was very grateful for their generosity and help. This time, he was prepared to take the 3 of them to Tongxian realm. Xiao Fu Sheng's lifelong wish was to refine a spirit-grade pill, but due to the constraints of this world, he had never been able to achieve this. As long as they arrived in Tongxian realm, with the resources there and Xiao Fu Sheng's methods, refining a spirit-grade pill would not be difficult. Yang Kai began to walk slowly towards Hidden Cloud Peak, looking at the herbs cultivated in the mountains along the way, recalling the 2 months he had lived here. Couldn't help smiling. Medicine King's Valley was not much different from before. Wu Zheng had taken a group of people to the central capital and High Heaven Pavilion to commit crimes, but it didn't seem to affect this place. A short time later, Yang Kai arrived at the top of the peak. As always, there were only a few huts, very simple and crude. 2 plump figures were sweeping the fallen leaves and dust in front of one of the huts, their hair wrapped in silk scarves to prevent it from getting dirty. Hearing Yang Kai's footsteps, the 2 women raised their heads, the one standing in front wiping the sweat from her forehead as she stared at Yang Kai suspiciously. "Auntie Xiang, Auntie Lan." Yang Kai grinned and greeted them loudly. "You are?" Auntie Xiang froze for a moment before her beautiful eyes flashed with surprise, putting down the broom in her hand and quickly greeting him, "Yang Kai." "It's me." Auntie Lan also hurried over and gently nodded. She examined him from head to toe and pursed her lips into a smile. "It's been so many years since we last met. I almost couldn't recognize you." "Yes, you're much stronger than before. In the past, your body didn't look very good." Auntie Xiang warmly greeted him. "Come in and sit." "Yes." Inside the thatched cottage, Yang Kai, Auntie Xiang, and Auntie Lan sat down at a simple table. There were 3 cups of tea on the table. Auntie Lan said, "There's nothing to entertain, so don't be so formal." "Aunt Lan is too polite." Yang Kai drank the tea in front of him in one gulp and said with a smile, "Although we haven't seen each other for many years, Auntie Lan and Auntie Xiang haven't changed at all. They are still as young as before." The 2 women looked at each other and smiled. "You have a glib tongue. You only know how to please people." Auntie Xiang glared at him. You've deceived a lot of young girls, haven't you? No. Yang Kai scratched his head. I heard that you left the central capital more than 10 years ago. I don't know where you went, but now you're back? I've only been back for a few days. It's good that you're back safely. Grandmaster used to talk about you a lot, saying that you were clearly proficient in alchemy but acted like you didn't know anything. When you first came here, you deceived him. Back then I really didn't understand. Where is Grandmaster? Why haven't I seen him? Is he in secluded retreat to perform alchemy again? Yang Kai asked. Auntie Xiang and Auntie Lan's faces suddenly dimmed, the smiles on their faces converging and their expressions becoming gloomy. Yang Kai's heart sank as a bad feeling welled up in his heart. Grandmaster? He passed away 5 years ago. Auntie Xiang turned her head away, her eyes red as she whispered. Yang Kai froze in place, his heart filled with an uncomfortable feeling, as if he was being overturned. He suddenly remembered that the reason Grandmaster Xiao had publicly accepted him as a disciple was because he realized that he did not have much time left, so he was so anxious. But unexpectedly, he had passed away 5 years ago. Grandmaster? Yang Kai opened his mouth. His wish has come true. Auntie Xiang suppressed her sad emotions and took out a jade box from her sleeve. Just 7 days before he passed away, he spent the last of his vitality to refine a spirit pill. This is what he was refining at that time. Yang Kai took this spirit pill and felt its weight in his hand, as if what he was holding was not a spirit pill, but a human life. Opening it, the spirit pill was round and full, the aura was dense and the medicinal efficacies were pure. Even an excellent spirit-grade alchemist would not necessarily be able to refine such a good pill. Grandmaster passed away peacefully. Auntie Xiang wiped the corners of her eyes and squeezed out a smile. So we don't need to feel sad for him. However, Grandmaster said that spirit grade is not the highest peak of alchemy, there must be a higher grade above it. Yang Kai's body shook as he secretly felt surprised by Xiao Fu Xing's vision. At this moment, Yang Kai seemed to understand that the reason Xiao Fu Xing was so eager to refine a spirit pill was not because he wanted to make a breakthrough in his own alchemy technique, but rather because he wanted to break through the shackles of this world with his own strength. He had done it. A spirit-grade pill that had never been seen before in this world had been refined by him. Where is Grandmaster buried? Yang Kai looked up and asked. Auntie Xiang got up and said, Come with me. Hidden Cloud Peak. In a very remote valley, a single mound of dirt stood alone, not too far from the peak. It was hard to believe that such a simple grave was actually the burial place of the world's #1 alchemist. Everything was done according to Grandmaster's last wishes before his death. There is no Grandmaster's body here. After Grandmaster's bones were burned, they were scattered into the river. Here are only a few of his belongings. While Yang Kai was paying his respects, Auntie Xiang stood to the side and explained. If Grandmaster knew that a registered disciple like you could come to see him, he would definitely be very happy. Auntie Xiang covered her mouth and sobbed as she spoke. Auntie Lan's eyes were also red as tears flowed down her cheeks. It's my duty, Yang Kai nodded gently. Half a day later, at the top of Hidden Cloud Peak, Yang Kai said goodbye to Auntie Xiang and Auntie Lan. Won't the two of you reconsider? This place may not be peaceful in the future. This world is now connected to a place called Tong Xian Realm. In the future, there may be many unimaginable masters who will come here. Yang Kai tried to persuade them. Just now, he wanted the two women in front of him, who had taken care of him before, to accompany him to the central capital, but they had refused his good intentions and insisted on staying here. No need, we've lived here all our lives and don't want to go anywhere else. Also, Grandmaster is here, we can accompany him. If we leave, he will be the only one left here. We're very happy that you have such intentions. Yang Kai sighed helplessly. The attitude of the two women was firm, and Yang Kai could feel it, so he knew that persuading them would be useless, so he could only say, Then I'll come back to see you when I'm free. Right? If someone really dares to come here looking for trouble, just report my name, it may be useful. Yes, Auntie Xiang smiled and nodded. Then take care of yourself. Yang Kai cupped his fists and turned to descend the mountain. You also have to be careful, don't try to be brave, Auntie Xiang and Auntie Lan waved from the top of the mountain. After leaving Hidden Cloud Peak, Yang Kai placed the spirit pill refined by Xiao Fuxing into a jade box and carefully hid it inside the black book space before summoning the Flying Heaven shuttle, transforming into a streak of blue light and flying west. His destination was the ash-gray cloud Evil Land. Yang Kai was leaving the central capital this time mainly to go to two places. One was Medicine King's Valley, and the other was the ash-gray cloud Evil Land. He was going to see Shanqing Luo. Although the dragon lady was unrestrained and unrestrained, she was still very good to Yang Kai. During the battle with the demon lord, she had helped him a lot. Most importantly, Yang Kai had planted a seed of affection in her heart, creating an indelible connection between the two of them. This was a rare opportunity for him to return, so naturally he would bring her to Tongxian Realm, lest she be bullied here. As for what she would do in Tongxian Realm, Yang Kai wouldn't care about her. 2 hours later, Yang Kai arrived near Fragrant City. This city could be said to be the most prosperous and stable city in the entire Ash-Gray Cloud Evil Land, and was also under the jurisdiction of Shanqing Luo. After the death of the Demon Lord and the 6 great evil kings, the entire Ash-Gray Cloud Evil Land had fallen into chaos, but only Fragrant City had not been affected because the beguiling Demon Queen had returned safely. The prosperity and stability here formed a sharp contrast to the slaughter in other parts of the Ash-Gray Cloud Evil Land. Many cultivators who did not want to live in fear would come to Fragrant City to seek a livelihood, causing the city to accommodate more and more people and become increasingly prosperous. Yang Kai walked all the way here, thinking about what kind of attitude he should use to speak to the dragon lady when he saw her. That seductive woman was too charming. If she really acted spoiled in front of him, Yang Kai didn't know if he could handle it. If he couldn't control himself, he would lose his integrity. On top of that, she was also very good at taking advantage of others. A short time later, Yang Kai arrived in front of the Shanqing Luo's palace in Fragrant City. At the entrance of the palace, there was a man in ragged clothes who looked like a beggar leaning against the wall, his eyes closed. His appearance was unkempt, his hair was a mess, and his beard seemed to have not been shaved for many years, making him look terrible. Anyone who passed by here wouldn't give him a second glance. The existence of such a person was only annoying. Yang Kai glanced at him casually, a strange smile appearing on his face as he slowly walked in front of him, ignoring the stench emanating from his body. The noon sun was blocked by Yang Kai's figure. The beggar narrowed his eyes, looked up, and then casually closed his eyes again, continuing to meditate. He acted as if Yang Kai didn't exist, turning a blind eye to him. Yang Kai grinned and greeted him, "Shadow King, hello." The beggar's body shook as he suddenly opened his eyes. Only at this moment did he seem to recognize Kai Yang's identity. His face couldn't help but change color as his skinny body trembled in place as electricity surged through his body. In an instant he disappeared. Chapter 937. Yang Kai turned his head and stared in the direction the beggar disappeared, sneered softly, and shot off like a bolt of lightning. Above Fragrant City, the beggar was flying at a high speed, looking back anxiously in the direction of the palace, but he couldn't see the young man at all. Suspicious, he hurriedly searched for him, but in the blink of an eye, that young man had actually caught up with him and was now flying side by side with him. His demeanor was relaxed and relaxed. The beggar's eyes went wide, as if he had seen a ghost, unable to believe that he had been surpassed in speed. What he excelled at the most was his burst of speed, and he believed that no one in this world could match him, even if it was the demon Lord Yang Bai. He had also praised this young man's speed and admitted his inferiority. But this young man had actually caught up with him first, and from the looks of it he hadn't even used his full strength. How could he not be shocked? "Shadow King, don't waste your energy, you can't escape." Yang Kai coldly snorted, and a scorching hot power erupted from his body. An invisible fist struck the beggar, catching him off guard. The beggar's figure was suddenly thrown into disarray, as if he had suffered a heavy blow, flipping through the air. He tumbled. After a long time, the beggar managed to stabilize himself and stand in the air, his expression fluctuating as he stared at Yang Kai with a look of dread. Unwillingness and fear filled his face. He had not expected that not only was he inferior to his opponent in terms of speed, but his opponent was also superior to him in terms of strength. Realizing the huge gap between him and his opponent, his thoughts of resistance and escape faded. The other party was right. In the face of absolute power, any resistance was a futile struggle. The burst of power midair alarmed the cultivator in Fragrance City, and they all looked up. After seeing the two figures in the air, many people exclaimed, "Hey, isn't that the beggar in front of the Queen's Master's palace? Yeah, he stays at the entrance of the palace all day long. I don't know how the Queen's Master can stand him. If it were me, I would have driven him away long ago. But looking at him now, he doesn't seem to be a simple beggar. This person's strength is so great. Why is he in such dire straits? Until now? Who is that young man? He seems to be even more powerful." The exclamations continued, and the cultivator of Fragrance City moved closer to this side, all wanting to see more clearly. After a short while, the street below, as he spoke, the roof was filled with people. There were even quite a few courageous cultivator who flew into the air and gathered around, putting on an expression as if they were watching a good show. Yang Kai turned a blind eye to this. He really didn't put the strength of Fragrance City's cultivator in his eyes. "Little brat from the Yang family, do you really want to kill us all?" The beggar shouted in grief and indignation. "It's not that I want to kill them all." Yang Kai slowly shook his head. "I'm just curious. One of the 6 great evil kings, the Lightning Flash Shadow King, is actually so powerful. Why are you disguising yourself as a beggar and hiding in Fragrance City?" "Lightning Flash Shadow King?" A series of exclamations rang out from below. Everyone was dumbstruck. "No way? That beggar is actually Lightning Flash Shadow King? It does look a bit like him. It really is the Lightning Flash Shadow King who disappeared more than 10 years ago. We all thought he was dead, but it turns out he's still alive and is hiding in Fragrance City. Fuck, when I passed by him a few days ago, I even spat at him. Isn't this a dead end?" The person who spoke had a pale expression. The beggar's complexion paled as he trembled with fear. "I also kicked him. The Shadow King Master won't settle accounts with me, right?" Another beggar cried out. The nearby cultivators all cast sympathetic gazes at him, their expressions saying "you're dead meat," causing the person who spoke to become even more terrified. "Fortunately, when I passed by him last time, I threw some money to him. Fortunately, I have a kind heart, ha." Another beggar said. Some were sad, others were happy. Because of the revelation of this beggar's identity, everyone's expression was different. The Lightning Flash Shadow King, along with the Thunderbolt Beast King, Annihilating Poison King, Profound Een Ghost King, Tyrannical Force King, and Beguiling Demon Queen, were known as the 6 great evil kings. Before the appearance of the Demon Lord, the entire ash-gray cloud evil land was under the jurisdiction of these 6 evil kings. When the catastrophe of the central capital arrived, the 6 great evil kings, under the leadership of Demon Lord Yang Bai, rushed out to kill the central capital. But in the end, Yang Bai died in battle, and the 6 great evil kings also suffered heavy losses. Besides Shan Qing Luo, who remained unscathed, 4 of the other 5 evil kings died. Only the Lightning Flash Shadow King managed to escape from the central capital by relying on his own speed. Since then, there had been no news of him. Some people said he had died, others said he had changed his name and lived in seclusion in the mountains. After all, there were many masters in the central capital, so if he dared to show himself, he would likely be targeted. No one could have imagined that he would actually disguise himself as a beggar and hide in Fragrance City, enduring humiliation and dragging out an ignoble existence. If Yang Kai hadn't come to Fragrance City today to find Shan Qing Luo, his identity would not have been exposed. He could hide from others, but he couldn't hide from Yang Kai's perception. A second-order transcendent was already the highest level of existence in this world, so it was difficult for Yang Kai not to notice him. "Yang family little brat, I am no longer the Lightning Flash Shadow King, nor am I an enemy of the central capital 8 great families. Why are you still being so overbearing?" Shadow King yelled harshly. Then why are you hiding your identity and hiding in front of Shan Qing Luo's palace? Do you want to harm her? Yang Kai coldly snorted. Harm her? Shadow King froze for a moment before shouting, Are you misunderstanding something? I can stay in front of her palace because she agreed to it. If not for that, do you think I would have stayed here? She agreed to it? Yang Kai frowned and waved his hand, sending a golden rope flying towards Shadow King and binding him. But yes or no, we'll see later. If the truth isn't what you said, you'll definitely die today. Shadow King struggled for a moment but soon found that this Yuan-Chi rope was not something he could break, and after being tied up like this, he couldn't use his full strength. Unable to move, a look of horror appeared on his face, as if he hadn't expected Yang Kai's strength to have reached such a high level. Anxiously, he said, You won't be able to find her, she's no longer in Fragrant City. Not here? Yang Kai's brow furrowed even deeper as he released his divine sense, but really couldn't find Shan Qing Luo's aura, causing him to feel a sense of loss. A sense of loss welled up inside him. Where did she go? There are still a few people in the palace, you can ask them, Lightning Flash Shadow King said angrily. Good. Yang Kai nodded before pulling Shadow King into Shan Qing Luo's palace. Fragrant City's cultivators stared at this scene in shock, unable to calm down for a long time. Evil kings were the supreme masters of the ash-gray cloud evil land. Every evil king was synonymous with strength, but now, this young man had appeared out of nowhere. This young man had actually captured an evil king with just a wave of his hand. It was as simple and easy as pinching a turtle. This scene gave them a surreal feeling, many of them rubbing their eyes hard to confirm that what they were seeing was not an illusion. All they saw was the backs of Yang Kai and Lightning Flash Shadow King gradually disappearing. Inside the palace, several maids heard the commotion and rushed out, just in time to meet Yang Kai. Seeing the appearance of this person, all of them exclaimed. The beautiful woman, Yun Li, and the maids Ruo Yu and Ruo Qing, were still here. The three of them were the ones sent by Shan Qing Luo to serve Yang Kai. Young Master Yang? Yun Li covered her mouth and called out. Yang Kai smiled and nodded. Shadow King, how did you? Yun Li glanced over at the embarrassed Lightning Flash Shadow King, her beautiful eyes filled with complex emotions. Can I trouble you to explain to this Yang family boy, was it your master who agreed for me to stay in Fragrant City? Lightning Flash Shadow King asked angrily. Yes. Yang Kai looked over at Yun Li and said, Just tell the truth, there's no need to be afraid of him. Yun Li didn't know whether to laugh or cry but nodded. Young Master Yang, it was indeed the Queen's master who agreed for him to stay here. Since the master has been gone for so many years, it was Shadow King who secretly watched over Fragrant City, preventing any major disturbances from occurring. Outside, no one knows that the Queen's master has long since left and only thinks she has been in retreat. Yang Kai frowned in surprise, but since Yun Li said so, it meant Shadow King wasn't lying. Unlocking Yu Tian. You just said that Shan Qing Luo left Fragrance City a long time ago? Where did she go? Yun Li, Ruo Yu, and Ruo Qing both shook their heads. We don't know where the master went, but before she left, she seemed to have said something to Shadow King. Shadow King should know some clues. Yang Kai turned his head and stared at Lightning Flash Shadow King. Shadow King muttered a few words, seemingly cursing, before angrily saying, Shan Qing Luo said she went to find you, but as for where she went, I don't know. I don't know. Find me? She should know I'm not in the central capital, so why would she go looking for me? She didn't go to the central capital to find you. What she said before she left was very strange, as if she mentioned something about a higher-level world, similar to Yang Bai's. What she said was somewhat similar. Yang Kai's expression shook as he suddenly remembered that when he left, he had indeed said these things to Shan Qing Luo. When did she leave? 2 years after you disappeared, she left. She said that her soul-seeking seal was placed in your body, so as long as she could find the world you were in, it would be easy for her to find you. Yang Kai nodded, confirming that Shadow King was telling the truth. The fact that he had Shan Qing Luo's soul-seeking seal in his body was something no one knew about except for him, so Shadow King should have known about it. Luo had mentioned it to him. What about Bai Luo? She was also taken away. Yang Kai sighed at a loss for what to do. He hadn't expected that the dragon lady would actually leave the ash-gray cloud evil land in order to find him and even declare that she was looking for a higher-level world. He didn't know whether she had found him or not, but if she had, it would mean that she was also in Tongxian realm, so why had she not come to see him? Yang Kai had completely lost track of her. Feeling somewhat lost, Yang Kai couldn't help feeling annoyed. When the dragon lady was pestering him, he couldn't wait for her to scram far away and not appear in front of him. She had appeared before him, but now that he had really lost her, Yang Kai felt somewhat melancholy. Suddenly, he felt like he was being cheapened. I've said everything I need to say. Since I've fallen into your hands today, if you want to kill me or cut me into pieces, do as you see fit, Shadow King coldly snorted. Just like before. Chapter 938. Inside the beguiling Demon Queen's palace, Lightning Flash Shadow King proudly raised his head, an unyielding look on his face. Yang Kai glanced at him faintly and waved his hand. Scram, I have no interest in killing you. Shadow King stared at Yang Kai with some surprise, apparently not having expected him to be willing to let him go. The reason he had chosen to live as a beggar these past few years was because he was afraid the masters of the central capital would find trouble with him. Now that he had accidentally fallen into Yang Kai's hands, he actually had a chance to survive? Why haven't you left yet? Yang Kai shouted. Shadow King gritted his teeth, the veins on his forehead bulging. He was the Shadow King, but he had to endure humiliation to survive. It was one thing for him to be looked down upon by the world, but now, this young man in front of him was casually yelling at him, not taking him seriously at all. This made him feel very unjust. He wanted to fight Yang Kai to the death. But in the end, he suppressed his anger and coldly said, Shanqing Luo went to the Spider Mother's nest before she left. She seemed to have found something there. If you want to find her, you may find some clues there. Saying so, Shadow King turned around and left. Spider Mother's nest. Yang Kai muttered to himself. He naturally remembered this place clearly. Back then, a seventh-order monster beast that could communicate with humans through divine sense lived there, the Spider Mother. It was also the only seventh-order monster beast in the entire world. Shanqing Luo's poisonous widow constitution originated from it, and the aphrodisiac poison in her body was neutralized by the Spider Mother's monster core. Young Master Yang, Yunli called out softly, are you going to find the Queen Master? Let's go take a look, she may not still be there. And she should have left long ago. Oh, then young Master Yang should be careful, Yunli Ruoyu, and Ruoqing nodded lightly, not bothering to persuade him to stay. Yang Kai glanced at them and suddenly said, your master is no longer here, what are you doing here? Yunli smiled and said disappointedly, where else can we go? If we stay here, at least we'll have a place to live, but if we go somewhere else, with our current strength and appearance, young Master Yang should be well aware of what awaits us outside. The three women, one big and two small, all looked pretty good, but they didn't have much strength. If they really lost the protection of this place and went outside, they would only become the playthings of men. I'll take you with me. Are you coming with me? Yang Kai suddenly had an idea. Yunli's eyes lit up as she glanced over at Ruoyu and Ruoqing before nodding. Good, if young Master Yang can reunite with the Queen's master in the future, we can continue to serve the Queen's master. Then you guys pack up, I'll be back as soon as possible. Oh right, ask the others in the palace if they want to leave. I remember there are still 2 maids, right? Yang Kai instructed, and Yunli hurriedly complied. An hour later, in the Broodmother's lair. Yang Kai stood in the air and looked down at the huge spider statue. He had never thought carefully about how this giant spider statue had come to be, but now that he had come here more than a decade later, he suddenly felt that something was not quite right. In the past, there had been countless giant spiders here, and the Spider Mother had also lived here, but in the end, they were still monster beasts, so it was impossible for them to build such a statue. Moreover, this statue seemed to have undergone many vicissitudes of life, and Yang Kai estimated that it was at least tens of thousands of years old. At this moment, there was no sign of life in the Broodmother's lair. After the Spider Mother's death, the giant spiders that had originally lived here had all disappeared. When Yang Kai arrived, he didn't see a single living creature. Descending, Yang Kai arrived in front of the statue and entered through the mouth of the giant spider. Inside the statue, there was a huge space filled with sticky spider silk, and the ground was covered in a thick layer of dust. Obviously, no one had entered this place for many years. Yang Kai looked around and suddenly his brow furrowed as he stared in a certain direction. There, he saw an altar-like object with a series of crisscrossing grooves that seemed to form some kind of strange spirit array. At this moment, there were some dark black things inside this spirit array. Yang Kai saw at a glance that these dark black things were the remnants of dried blood. The altar wasn't very big, at most able to accommodate 2 or 3 people standing on it. Yang Kai stared at it and could clearly see that there were 2 different sets of footprints on the altar. Because they had stepped on blood, they had left behind traces that would not be erased. Were these footprints left behind by Shanqing Luo and by Luo? Yang Kai didn't know, but he felt a faint aura from this altar. Although it was very faint, it couldn't escape his perception. The altar had been damaged, and there were many cracks on its surface. Yang Kai reached out to touch it, but unexpectedly it couldn't even withstand this small amount of force and collapsed. Staring blankly at everything in front of him, Yang Kai's mood fluctuated. There was a strange spirit array on the altar, and there was also a faint aura of the void, so it wasn't difficult to infer that a void corridor had once appeared here. If the 2 pairs of bloody footprints were really left behind by Shanqing Luo and by Luo, they must have passed through a void corridor and left this world. Where could they have gone? When Yang Kai separated from the Dragon Lady, she was only a first-order transcendent. Such strength was nothing in Tongxian realm. After investigating for a while, Yang Kai still couldn't find any useful clues, so he left the huge spider statue and stretched out his hand towards the void. Heaven-covering hand. A huge palm print descended from the sky and slammed into the spider statue. Rocks rolled down, and the statue shattered. Dust flew up, and the statue was buried underground forever. Yang Kai's mood was subtly complex. When he left the central capital this time, he had gone to a total of 2 places, wanting to take 2 groups of people to Tongxian realm, but unfortunately, Xiao Fuxing of Medicine King's Valley had already passed away. Auntie Xiang and Auntie Lan had volunteered to stay behind to accompany him, and Shanqing Luo from Fragrance City had disappeared without a trace. Yang Kai hadn't accomplished a single thing he had planned. Helplessly, Yang Kai returned to the palace in Fragrance City where Yun Li and the other maids had already prepared for him. In addition to Ruo Yu and Ruo Qing, there were 2 other maids in the palace, so Yang Kai took them all together and flew to the central capital. Half a day later, Yang Kai returned to the Yang family. Seeing Yang Kai bring back 5 beauties, the expressions of Li Rong and Han Fei suddenly became strange. Yang Kai was too lazy to explain things to them and simply asked the Yang family 4th master to make arrangements for Yun Li and the others. Before Shanqing Luo appeared, these 5 women would remain in the Yang family as maids. 4th Master Yang nodded. Yang Kai. Cousin. 2 voices called out from nearby, causing Yang Kai to turn his head and see Dong Qin Han and Dong Qin Yen running towards him from a short distance away. Dong Qin Han was no longer fat, as if he had lost several dozen kilograms, becoming tall and powerful. His cousin Dong Qin Yen had also grown into a slender and elegant woman, large where she should be and small where she should be, quite pleasing to the eye. Yang Kai's eyes lit up as he grinned. When he returned a few days ago, he had seen many of his old friends, but he hadn't seen anyone from the Dong family until today, when these 2 cousins appeared in front of him. Dong Qin Yen rushed over, her beautiful eyes sweeping over Yang Kai as she smiled. Cousin, I haven't seen you in more than 10 years, you've become much more handsome. Your little mouth is quite sweet. Yang Kai was very satisfied, but Dong Qin Yen just grinned meaningfully and stretched out her hand to Yang Kai. Cousin, do you have any reward for me? Yang Kai was stunned. Dong Qin Han smiled at Yang Kai, clearly taking pleasure in his misfortune. I'll give you this. Yang Kai took out a piece of crystal stone and handed it to Dong Qin Yen, saying seriously, take good care of this. It's a precious treasure. It contains a huge amount of energy that can be directly absorbed and transformed into Yuan Qi, whether it's for recovery or cultivation, it'll be of great benefit. Dong Qingyan's eyes lit up, her hands tightly gripping the crystal stone as she couldn't help praising. This thing is so clear and beautiful, it's like a huge gem. Are you really giving it to me? What's the point of taking back something you've already given away? Thank you, cousin. Dong Qingyan was very happy, solemnly placing the crystal stone into her purse, a look of satisfaction on her face. Li Rong and Han Fei, who were standing nearby, couldn't bear to see this little girl being deceived by Yang Kai like this, but were too embarrassed to say that this crystal stone wasn't anything precious, slowly shaking their heads and laughing. Little sister, go play somewhere else, I have something to discuss with Yang Kai. Dong Qinghan winked at Dong Qingyan. Acting so mysterious, it's definitely not something good. Dong Qingyan snorted and ran off. Leaving behind only the two cousins, Dong Qinghan's expression became serious as he asked, I heard you're taking the Yang family to a place called Tong Xian Realm. What's your Dong family's plan? My father and mother should have sent you a message already, right? I received a message from aunt and uncle, so I hurried over. The Dong family is now packing up and preparing to advance and retreat together with your Yang family. Dong Qinghan's expression became serious as he quickly asked, but is this reliable? If it wasn't, would I let my entire family follow me? I'm not someone who doesn't have a plan. Yang Kai raised his brow. Of course I know that. It's just that I have to leave my hometown all of a sudden and head to an unknown place. Isn't that a little terrifying? You'll get used to it slowly. Yang Kai comforted. When I first arrived there, I was also confused, but there were many more wonderful things and opportunities there, suitable for young people. Ha! Dong Qinghan laughed. I was just asking casually, but since Chiu Yimeng chose to go with you, it shouldn't be a bad idea. To put it bluntly, I believe in Chiu Yimeng's vision more. Yang Kai was speechless. When does your Yang family plan to leave? As soon as possible, the journey is too long. From here to our destination, it will take at least 3 or 4 months, and if there are any delays along the way, it will only take longer. So long? Dong Qinghan's face changed. The vastness of Tong Xian Realm is far beyond your imagination, so your Dong family doesn't need to come to the central capital to meet with the Yang family. You can send a message back to High Heaven Pavilion. I will take the Yang family there. Good. Dong Qinghan nodded. I'll arrange it. Chapter 939. The central capital was bustling with activity. The Yang family, Qiu family, and Hua family members were all packing up. Although Yang Kai had ordered them to keep everything simple, with so many people moving together, it was still quite time-consuming. Yang Kai waited for 10 days in the central capital before everything was ready. With a single order, nearly 1,000 people from the 3 families set off in the direction of High Heaven Pavilion. The total number of people from the 3 families was naturally more than this, but no matter which family it was, there were still some who were unwilling to leave the central capital. The situation of the Yang family was slightly better. 90% of their people had followed Yang Kai, leaving behind only the elderly who were unwilling to travel such a long distance. At least half of the people from the Hua family and Qiu family stayed behind. Only the direct descendants, under the strict orders of Huastars and Chiu Yimeng, joined the expedition team. Yang Kai's friends were also in the team. They had already sent the news back to their respective sects. As for how to deal with it, it would depend on the attitude of their sect's elders. Yang Kai had already told them that as long as they were willing to follow him to Tong Xian Realm, they could go directly to High Heaven Pavilion. He would be staying at High Heaven Pavilion for a while and wouldn't wait for them after that. Outside the central capital, the procession continued on its journey. At the city gate, many people were gathered, watching the procession leave with complicated looks on their faces. Most of these people were members of the other 5 families of the central capital. Brother Meng, is it right for us to choose to stay here? The Kong family patriarch Kong Jian's eyes were filled with confusion as he stared at the 1,000 people walking away, a trace of envy appearing in his heart. These people were going to go to a higher world, to a higher place, but they had to stay here in the central capital, unable to integrate. The Meng family patriarch Meng Shan-yi shook his head and sighed. I don't know whether it's right to stay here or not, but our families don't have much of a friendship with Yang Kai. If we really follow him, we won't necessarily be better off on the other side. If he has any good resources, he will definitely give priority to the Yang family, Qiu family, and Hua family. Our 5 families won't be valued and may even be marginalized or swallowed up. Brother Meng is right. The head of the Yi family, Yi Jingli, nodded his head. It is precisely because we have such concerns that we rejected his invitation. I believe that he can also guess our concerns, so he did not insist. Are we thinking too much? Since it's a higher level place with our capital, I'm afraid Yang Kai won't take a fancy to it, right? Kong Jian's expression was hesitant. Maybe it's just a small matter for him to invite us over. Let him think too much. Now that he has already rejected him, do you think he can still follow him? Brother Lu, what do you think? Gao family patriarch Gao Rangxian turned his eyes to Lu Qingyao and asked. Lu Qingyao was the #1 master of the central capital's younger generation, so among these people, he had some weight. I have no opinion. Lu Qingyao slowly shook his head, refusing to say another word. 10 kilometers outside the central capital, Yang Kai and Stars Hua and Qiu Yimeng walked side by side. Hua Stars glanced back and asked, Young Master Kai, are we just going to ignore those people? If they don't want to follow me, I can't force them, right? Everyone has their own destiny, let nature take its course. This is their own choice, what are you worrying about? Qiu Yimeng rolled her eyes at Hua Stars. Hua Stars laughed dryly. It's not that I'm worried about them, it's just that after all, we've all lived together in the central capital for so many years, suddenly leaving like this makes me a bit reluctant. Forget it, I'm too lazy to care about them. Come, young Master Kai, I'll introduce you to my 15 concubines and main wives. They're all very interested in you and want me to introduce you to them. Yang Kai's face went black. Forget it. With more than a dozen wives, it would be troublesome to even greet them. What if they asked him for a meeting gift? How can that be? If you don't meet them, they'll definitely come to me tonight to settle accounts. Hua Stars shouted. Yang Kai felt extremely helpless, but just as he was about to agree, he suddenly frowned and turned his head towards a certain direction, his expression gradually becoming dignified. Master, Li Rong shouted from the side. I know. Yang Kai gently nodded and hurriedly said, Brother Hua, Qiu Yimeng, you two continue leading the team, I'll be right back. Saying so, his figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Li Rong and Han Fei both glanced at each other and hurriedly followed. Qiu Yimeng and Hua Stars were stunned, not knowing why they had all suddenly run away. Where did Kair go? Dong Suju quickly walked up and asked. I don't know, he seemed to have discovered something. Qiu Yimeng said thoughtfully. Is there any danger? Dong Suju asked worriedly. Don't worry, Auntie, Yang Kai has 2 masters protecting him. Although I don't know how strong those 2 are, they should be very powerful. Qiu Yimeng smiled and comforted. Hearing her say this, Dong Suju also breathed a sigh of relief. 4th Master Yang laughed and said, Your son is all grown up, why do you always care about him? Let him do what he wants, Kai, or has a sense of propriety. The team continued to move forward, and except for a few people nearby who noticed that Yang Kai had left, no one else was aware of this. 100 kilometers away from the team, a beam of bloody light and a beam of black light were flying towards them at high speed. The speed of these 2 lights was extremely fast, obviously their strength was not low, and as they flew, they unscrupulously exuded a shocking evil qi. Wherever they passed, trees withered, as if they had been eroded by the flowing time great emperor, their vitality drained away. All the creatures who perceived this terrifying evil qi trembled and curled up in place, those with poor psychological endurance directly dying of fright. This kind of terrifying evil qi was not something the cultivator of this world could withstand. Oh! A cry of alarm came from the black shadow, and immediately after, the black shadow stopped midair, revealing a tyrannical body. As soon as he appeared, he exuded a mountainous momentum. The blood-red light also stopped beside him, revealing a slim and graceful figure. Impressively, It was a woman. Someone actually got here before us. The majestic man frowned, showing an interested expression. And it's someone from my demon race. Could it be Go Che? The woman shook her head. It doesn't seem like it. If Go Che came here, he would definitely act with us. How could he come here alone? It's not Go Che? Then who else in my demon race would have such a cultivation? The man showed a puzzled look, but his expression suddenly changed. No, there's also a human. This human's aura, why does it feel so familiar, like I've seen it somewhere before? He muttered softly, but still couldn't figure out where he had seen this human before. Just as he was puzzled though, the graceful woman's expression suddenly changed and she shouted, I know who it is. The woman sneered softly, it's really a small world, so it's that woman. Speak clearly. The man impatiently shouted in a low voice. The woman glanced over at him coldly and snorted, Do you remember when I was injured 2 or 3 years ago? The man thought for a moment and said with a gloating expression, You mean you went to the human race's territory without permission and were injured by a human race master? Of course I remember. What's the matter? Is it related to this human? The woman ground her teeth and said, How could it be related? The one who attacked me at that time was her. She was clearly a member of my demon race, yet she willingly colluded with a human. It was a great shame to my race. The man raised his brow and grinned, Then today you'll have a chance to get your revenge. The woman coldly said, She's not weak. At that time she was only a second-order saint, yet she was able to fight me to a draw. How is that possible? Are you still asleep? The man paled, You're a dignified demon general. How could you not even be able to defeat an opponent a minor realm lower than you? That woman is different from the others. If I'm not mistaken, she should be from that clan. Which clan? The woman glanced over at him faintly and quickly said, The clan that served great demon god back then. The man paled and his expression became gloomy, as if he was very afraid of this clan, hesitating for a moment before asking, Are you sure she's from that clan? I fought her before, how could I not know? The divine technique she displayed was the demon god transformation passed down to that clan by great demon god. That's really strange. That clan actually still has a bloodline? The man's expression gradually became excited, as if he had discovered some kind of treasure, his eyes filled with greed. Menggu, are you interested in her? The woman glanced over at him and asked casually. I'm not interested in her, but I'm interested in the demon god transformation. The man named Menggu chuckled meaningfully. I'm also interested. The woman giggled. How about this? You and I will join forces. There are 3 people here, 2 of them are descendants of that clan, and 1 of them is a human. We'll each take one of those 2. As for that human. You're also interested in that human? Menggu looked at her with some surprise, suddenly becoming vigilant. Shueli, what kind of wicked idea is this? What is it about that human that you care about? With his understanding of this poisonous woman, if this human wasn't too special, it would be impossible for her to have such thoughts. This human was only a 3rd-order transcendent, so in front of the 2 demon general, he was as weak as an ant and could be easily killed. Shueli giggled. Menggu, you're thinking too much. It's just that human escaped from my sand city and caused this queen to lose a great deal of face, so I want to take him back and torture him to vent the hatred in this queen's heart. Menggu was startled and also remembered this matter. In the past, a human had escaped from Sand City, which was under Shueli's control, and this matter had spread throughout the demon land for quite some time. The other demon general regarded this matter as a laughingstock for Shueli and would make fun of her every time they met, causing Shueli to be quite annoyed. Do as you wish. Menggu waved his hand impatiently. As long as you don't harm my interests, don't blame me for being impolite. Shueli nodded with satisfaction, a faint light flashing across her beautiful eyes. Chapter 940. That human brat had indeed escaped from Sand City, but he had the demon god golden blood in his body. This was a secret Shueli had not told anyone. This time, as long as she could catch that boy and absorb the demon god golden blood in his body, her strength would reach the peak of the demon land and she would become the first female demon commander in history. What kind of glory was this? Thinking of this, the blood in Xue Li's body began to boil. They're coming towards us, their courage is quite big, Meng Gu sneered softly, standing high up in the air, not showing any intention of evading. With the two demon general here, they had nothing to fear. It's Xue Li! Yang Kai shouted. As the distance closed, he also noticed the identity of the master on the other side, his brow furrowing slightly, but there's also another master. This aura is somewhat familiar. Where have I seen it before? Both he and Mungo felt a sense of déjà vu at the same time. Master, you must be careful. Yang Kai nodded, his thoughts turning sharply. Just now, he had noticed the aura of a master approaching from a different direction, which made Yang Kai very concerned, so he had left the team and brought Li Rong and Han Fei to investigate. After confirming that the one approaching was actually Xue Li, Yang Kai's heart couldn't help sinking. This world was not small, so there was definitely more than one passage connecting to Tongxian realm. He had come from High Heaven Pavilion, so where had Xue Li come from? A moment later, Yang Kai's group of 3 appeared in the vision of the two demon general. Pausing, they stared at each other from a distance of 1,000 meters. Human brat, I didn't expect to see you again in this place. Enemies really do meet on a narrow road. Xue Li's pair of beautiful eyes flashed a scorching anger, as if she wanted to burn the world down, sneering gloomily. Enemies really do meet on a narrow road. Last time I let you escape, but this time you won't be so lucky, Yang Kai coldly snorted. Your tone isn't small. Meng Gu laughed as he looked at Yang Kai with interest, frowning as he asked, Boy, have we met somewhere before? Why do I find you familiar? Or you? Yang Kai frowned. He also felt that this guy looked familiar. He had definitely seen it somewhere before. I am a subordinate of the Demon Lord, the Demon General Mungo. Mungo replied proudly. Mungo? Yang Kai was startled, and his expression became strange. He chuckled. No wonder you look familiar, it's you. Mungo looked at him suspiciously. What? Don't you remember me? Yang Kai raised his eyebrows and said with a smile. Do you still remember the person who killed one of your avatars? Mungo's face changed. He carefully observed Yang Kai's face and finally had an impression of him. He shouted, It's you. You've worn out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance. Back in the ash-gray cloud Evil Land's evil cavern, one of Mungo's avatars had been destroyed by Yang Kai using the demon's sealing chain. This was many years ago, so not only had Yang Kai's impression of him faded, but so had Mungo, so when the two of them met again, they only felt each other was familiar. After being reminded by Yang Kai, Mungo's anger surged as he sneered, I've been looking for you for a long time, but I never expected you would deliver yourself to me today. Good, today I'll take my revenge and vent the hatred in my heart. As he spoke, his malevolent aura almost condensed into a tangible substance and rushed towards Yang Kai. Xue Li's face changed drastically and she waved her hand, sending out a blood-red light to intercept Mungo's malevolent aura. She shouted, Mungo, you and I agreed before, this human is mine. If you dare kill him, I'll make you pay. Mungo didn't care about her threat at all and just sneered, Today he will die, no one can stop me. Xue Li, if you dare to stop me, don't blame me for disregarding our many years of friendship. What happened back then was a great shame to Mungo, something that had always been stuck in his throat. Now that he saw the culprit, Yang Kai, how could he restrain himself? He couldn't wait to skin Yang Kai alive, grind his bones, and scatter his ashes. That strand of divine clone was something he had cultivated for many years. After it was killed, he had not been able to cultivate another strand of divine clone until today. Yang Kai's actions back then had caused him to suffer a great loss. If you want to kill him, you'll have to pass through me first. Xue Li refused to be outdone and firmly declared. Yang Kai smiled as he watched the two demon general quarrel. Even Li Rong and Han Fei, who had followed him here, couldn't help shaking their heads. They hadn't even started fighting yet, but the two demon general were already fighting amongst themselves. It was quite laughable. Xue Li and Mungo stared at each other, neither of them willing to back down. As their eyes met, it was unknown what kind of exchange occurred, but both of their anger was suddenly extinguished. Mungo nodded. We'll deal with this human later, first we need to deal with these two women. That's what I was thinking. Xue Li nodded gently before turning her eyes to Li Rong and Han Fei. The two great commanders of the ancient demon clan raised their eyebrows and stepped forward without fear. Go, there's no need to show mercy, Yang Kai ordered faintly. Li Rong and Han Fei nodded at the same time. Mungo laughed. Little brat, your tone is quite big, aren't you looking down on our demon general too much? Do you think these two women can win against us? Last time we were in too much of a hurry and didn't get a chance to experience your skills properly. This time, let's compare notes carefully. Xue Li also stared at Li Rong coldly, directly targeting her. Good. Li Rong gently nodded, her tender body suddenly transforming into a series of afterimages. After condensing, she had actually appeared beside Xue Li and gently struck out with her palm towards her chest. Xue Li's pretty face changed dramatically as a bloody aura burst from her body, spreading out in all directions with her as the center. Li Rong's face was quickly covered in strange demon crests, and her delicate palms smashed through the barrier of Xue Li's blood qi with unstoppable force before landing on her tender body. Crying out in alarm, Xue Li avoided her vitals and fled 1,000 meters away. Li Rong didn't pursue her and simply stood in place, staring at her indifferently. Your cultivation? Xue Li's expression fluctuated as she muttered in disbelief. Last time, Li Rong had used her demon god transformation and gone all out to fight Xue Li to a draw, but this time, as soon as she attacked, Xue Li felt a great deal of pressure. This kind of pressure was similar to the one her demon commander master was giving her. This caused Xue Li to be at a loss. Xue Li couldn't help having an illusion that if she fought with this woman again this time, the result would be certain death. Thinking so, Xue Li's tender body trembled as she shouted, You shouldn't have broken through to the Third Order Saint Realm, right? Li Rong nodded, Yes. Xue Li's face drained of all color, becoming somewhat pale. As a demon general, she knew better than anyone just how powerful and strange those who had served great demon god were. They had all obtained the demon god transformation personally taught to them by great demon god, allowing them to fight those above their realm. When she was a second-order saint, this woman named Li Rong could fight her to a draw, but now that she had broken through to the third order, she had no hope of winning. Hurriedly turning her head to look at Mungo, Xue Li sucked in a cold breath, almost unable to believe what she was seeing. While she and Li Rong were fighting, the other woman had already faced off against Menggu. A bone-chilling ice domain swept across the surrounding several dozen kilometers, transforming the surrounding area into a world of ice. The ground was covered in frozen earth, and large snowflakes began to fall from the sky, dyeing the ground white. This kind of cold was so cold that even the two demon general had to circulate their Saint Chi to resist it. Mungo, who had been acting very arrogantly just now, was now being entangled by this woman who exuded a frigid aura. The evil chi which had emerged from his body had been frozen, forcing him to fight with a look of helplessness and annoyance. Even if this woman's strength wasn't as good as Mungo's, it wasn't far off. If Mungo wanted to capture her or take her life, it would be impossible for him to do so. Xue Li's heart trembled as she realized the situation was hopeless. She and Mungo had completely underestimated the other party's combat effectiveness, causing them to lose the initiative in this battle. The other party daring to come here so unscrupulously obviously had some skill. Xue Li, it seems we should go. Mungo also realized this and glared hatefully at Han Fei, grinding his teeth as he spoke. Let's go! Xue Li decisively shouted, transforming into a bloody streak of light and fleeing. Mungo's body flickered, and then he turned into a black cloud and followed Xue Li like a wisp of a ghost. His murderous aura filled the sky. The two demon generals were all bark and no bite. They shouted for a while, but in less than 10 breaths of time, they retreated one after another. No need to chase, Yang Kai shouted. Li Rong and Han Fei heard this and stopped, dispelling their demon god transformations and restoring their original appearances. The other party was a top master at the Third Order Saint Realm, so if they wanted to escape, Li Rong and Han Fei wouldn't be able to stop them. Returning to Yang Kai's side, The two of them stared solemnly in the direction the two demon general had disappeared. That direction seems to be a place called the Great Yen Kingdom. Yang Kai frowned thoughtfully. In this world, the only place he was familiar with was the Great Han Dynasty. He had been to the nearby Tian Lang Dynasty once, but he wasn't familiar with the Great Yen Kingdom at all. Master, there were actually two demon general here. Could they have come from? Li Rong said worriedly. They didn't come from High Heaven Pavilion. There should be another passage in this world that leads to Tongxian Realm, and it's actually connected to the demon land. With the methods of the demon race, I'm afraid the people there have already been wiped out. What should we do now? It doesn't matter. They probably came here this time to go to the central capital, but they didn't expect to run into us halfway. After suffering such a loss, I don't think they'll try to go to the central capital again. Yang Kai took a deep breath and said, "Let's go back. This world is big and everyone has their own destiny. I can only take care of my family and friends. Bringing them back to Nine Heaven's Holy Land as soon as possible is the right thing to do." What Master says is right. Li Rong gently nodded in agreement. A moment later, the group of three returned to the group. Fourth Master Yang asked a few simple questions, but Yang Kai brushed him off. After a month of trekking, the thousands of people finally arrived at High Heaven Pavilion and joined up with the people from the three nearby sects. Chapter 941. After returning to High Heaven Pavilion, Yang Kai didn't rush to leave but instead waited here as agreed. A few days later, the Dong family's direct descendants arrived. A few days later, a group of large and small beauties from 10,000 Flower Palace also arrived, a dazzling sight to behold. A few days later, the people from Treasure Instrument Sect arrived. Almost every 2 or 3 days, a new group of people would arrive from different places and join the group heading to Tongxian Realm. Yang Kai didn't refuse any of them. As long as they were certain they were from his sect, he would eagerly accept them. This made all of them very grateful. The world was in chaos, the central capital had fallen, and suddenly a Saint Realm Master had appeared. This news spread like wildfire throughout the Great Han Dynasty. Just as these sects were at a loss as to what to do, Yang Kai gave them a clear path. So after receiving news from the disciples stationed in the central capital, they didn't hesitate and hurriedly packed up their things and rushed to High Heaven Pavilion to meet with Yang Kai. The group grew day by day, and soon, more than 1,000 people had snowballed into a master's wave of 4,000 to 5,000 people. While waiting, Yang Kai didn't remain idle, asking Li Rong, Han Fei, Shi Kuan, and the others to guide these people in their cultivation while refining some pills and distributing them appropriately, doing everything possible to help them improve their strength. Everyone was ecstatic. In front of Li Rong, Han Fei, Shi Kuan, and the others, countless cultivators sat in front of them day and night, listening to their insights and explanations of the heavenly way and martial Tao. The three Saint Realm Masters who had followed Yang Kai here talked until their mouths were dry, but when they saw the eager eyes of these people, they couldn't ignore them. As such, they could only grit their teeth and pass on their cultivation experience. Among them, the growth of the Yang family blood warriors and the Hu sisters was the most remarkable. In just 10 days, their yuan qi and cultivation seemed to have undergone subtle changes. Due to the shackles of this world, even if these people broke through to the transcendent realm, they wouldn't be able to comprehend much. However, when Li Rong and the others suggested it, they immediately understood. Outside the crowd, Qiu Yimeng stared at the transcendent realm cultivator enviously before examining her own cultivation and sighing slightly. These days, she had talked a lot with Yang Kai and learned a lot about the wonders of Tongxian Realm from Yang Kai. She also knew that transcendents were considered masters on that side, so her cultivation was already on par with that world. On the other hand, she, a peak immortal ascension boundary master, was considered a powerhouse here, but she was nothing on the other side. There were as many mental wander state cultivators there as there were hairs on a cow. She was secretly anxious. Are you envious of their cultivation? Yang Kai suddenly appeared beside her and asked in a low voice. What's the use of being envious? His aptitude is right there. Qiu Yimeng pursed her lips and smiled. Besides, I'm just a woman. In the future, I'll just have to do housework and take care of children, so what's the point of having such a high cultivation? You're not such an easy woman to satisfy, are you? Yang Kai turned his head and glanced at her. Qiu Yimeng forced a smile. I'm easy to satisfy, it's just that you don't want to satisfy me. Stop, don't talk nonsense all the time. Yang Kai couldn't stand it anymore. Qiu Yimeng glared at him faintly before venting her anger like a little girl. Fine, I'm envious of them, so what? I'm not as strong as they are, so why can't I be envious? Especially those whose sisters, you don't know, before their cultivation was even lower than mine, but since you left, I don't know what happened to them, but their strength soared day by day. All of a sudden, they broke through to the transcendent realm, causing everyone's eyes to turn red with envy. Look, aren't they red now? Saying so, she took the initiative to press her tender body against Yang Kai's waist and grit her teeth. Tell me honestly, did you give them something good but not me? Of course not. Yang Kai felt wronged. Didn't I give you the myriad drug liquid back then? That myriad drug liquid was enough to improve your aptitude. Then why are they so strong? They have their own opportunities. Yang Kai didn't know how to explain. What about your brother-in-law? Qiu Yimeng looked at him pitifully. He also caught up. He also has his own opportunities. Yang Kai braced himself. However, after hearing Qiu Yimeng's words, Yang Kai suddenly realized that among the younger generation, only a few who had obtained benefits from the Heaven's Cave inheritance had stood out. Everyone else, including Qiu Yimeng, had yet to break through to the transcendent realm. It was obvious how great the benefits of the Heaven's Cave inheritance were. I believe you. Qiu Yimeng saw the embarrassed look on Yang Kai's face and no longer tried to force him, instead proudly saying, You've always done things fairly, I know you won't treat me unfairly. Yang Kai nodded repeatedly, his divine sense sweeping her body for a moment before suddenly smiling mysteriously. When we reach Tong Xian realm, I'll give you a surprise. What kind of surprise? Qiu Yimeng's beautiful eyes lit up. You'll know when we get there, don't ask too much now, just focus on your cultivation. Qiu Yimeng curled her lips disdainfully. What kind of trick are you playing? Yang Kai just smiled and didn't say anything, acting all mysterious, causing Qiu Yimeng to grit her teeth, but she couldn't do anything about it. Qiu Yimeng's biggest advantage was that she didn't treat Yang Kai as an outsider. Even though the gap in strength and status between her and Yang Kai was huge, she still dared to maintain a close relationship with Yang Kai and didn't deliberately alienate him. This made Yang Kai feel very gratified. The same was true for Stars Hua. On the other hand, the 4 girls from 10,000 Flower Palace, Chen Shueshu, and the others all felt somewhat restrained when facing Yang Kai, no longer speaking as freely as before. The gap in strength and status made them not dare to do so. While chatting happily with Qiu Yimeng, Yang Kai's expression suddenly changed as he looked up towards the distant sky. Master. Li Rong and Han Fei, who had been imparting their cultivation experience, called out at the same time. Yang Kai couldn't help cursing, his expression becoming as gloomy as the calm before a storm. He rarely cursed unless he was too agitated. What's wrong? Qiu Yimeng asked anxiously. From the change in Yang Kai's expression, she also noticed that something was wrong, as if some great danger was approaching, causing Qiu Yimeng's face to go pale. Listen, if you feel the fluctuations of a battle coming from that side, immediately arrange for everyone here to pass through the void corridor, don't waste a moment. Yang Kai said anxiously. What happened? Qiu Yimeng stamped her feet anxiously. Powerful enemies are approaching, and several of them are coming together. Yang Kai explained casually, no longer wasting any time, turning to Li Rong and Han Fei, preparing to lead them to stop these enemies. He didn't need to investigate the identities of these people. From the shocking fluctuations of demonic qi, he could smell the auras of Demon General Meng Gu and Shueli. More than a month ago, when he had driven them away outside the central capital, Yang Kai had thought they wouldn't come back again, but now, after a month, they had actually returned. And this time, there was the aura of another master, one whose aura was even more profound than Meng Gu and Shueli's. Is there another demon general? 3 demon general, Even if Li Rong and Han Fei joined forces, they wouldn't be able to defeat them quickly, so there was no way they could protect the safety of the thousands of people here. Yang Kai made a prompt decision not to allow the enemy to approach this place. But before he could move, a loud shout came from the thick clouds. This senior has come uninvited and has an important matter to consult Yang Xingzhu. Yang Xingzhu, please don't take offense. The owner of this voice was still 100 kilometers away, but it rang directly in Yang Kai's ears, clear as day. The thousands of people gathered here also raised their heads to look at the sky. They saw that the originally bright sun was gradually gathering into clusters of thick ink-like black clouds, covering the light above their heads. The black clouds were so thick that it was as if they could not be assimilated. They pressed down on their heads, causing them to feel uncomfortable in their hearts. Yang Kai's expression changed as he froze in place. Li Rong and Han Fei both turned inquiring eyes towards him, but Yang Kai slowly shook his head, motioning them to remain calm. The other party hadn't even arrived yet but had already taken the initiative to send him a message, seemingly expressing goodwill. This made Yang Kai confused, not knowing who this person was or what he wanted to do. On the horizon, a black curtain of darkness swept across the heavens and earth, quickly approaching them like a destructive disaster, causing everyone's face to go pale and fear to fill their hearts. Yang Kai coldly snorted and shouted, "Can your excellency retract this evil aura? You're scaring my friends." His voice was like an arrow released from a bow, piercing through the inky black clouds and piercing through the sky, creating a huge hole in the clouds, allowing a ray of sunlight to shine down, accurately hitting High Heaven Pavilion. The oppressive aura stagnated, and everyone gasped for air, breathing to their heart's content. Soon, an apologetic voice called out, "My apologies. This senior is used to being undisciplined and didn't expect so many people to gather here. And Yang Xingzhu, please forgive me." As these words were spoken, the dark clouds in the sky seemed to be caressed by a giant invisible hand and quickly melted away. The world was once again restored to clarity. Yang Kai's eyes revealed a deep sense of dread, and even Li Rong's expression became unprecedentedly dignified. All of them were aware of the tyrannical strength of this newcomer. Soon, three figures suddenly appeared in everyone's field of vision, quietly floating mid-air, as if they had been standing there from beginning to end. Among the three people, the leader was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance. He wore an extremely gaudy cloak with dragons and phoenixes carved on it. Standing behind this middle-aged man were Demon General Xue Li and Meng Gu. Both of them stood behind this middle-aged man, their expressions serious, and when they stared at his back, there was even a trace of fear and respect. Yang Kai's eyes narrowed as a storm rose in the depths of his heart. Chapter 942. Before seeing this scene, Yang Kai had thought that Xue Li and Meng Gu were unwilling to accept this humiliation and had called the other demon general to help. But after seeing this scene, Yang Kai immediately determined that this plain-looking middle-aged man was not a demon general. Silently crying out in alarm, Yang Kai tried to maintain a calm expression as he stared deeply at the middle-aged man, his eyes filled with fear. The middle-aged man wearing a gaudy cloak had a plain appearance, but his eyes were bright and filled with a brilliant light, making it difficult to look straight at him. His aura was also vast and unfathomable. Tilting his head, he swept his eyes over the crowd before focusing on Yang Kai, a warm smile like a spring breeze appearing on his face as he asked, "Yang Xingzhu." He had never met Yang Kai before, but he had still been able to accurately identify him among these several thousand people, demonstrating just how sharp his eyesight was. Yang Kai gently nodded and called out, "Demon Commander?" The middle-aged man raised his brow and laughed loudly, praising, "Yang Xingzhu's eyesight is quite good, actually seeing through this senior's identity in an instant, admirable, admirable." He hadn't expected Kai Yang's eyesight to be so good, and there was no one who could remain so indifferent after knowing his true identity. Everyone who recognized him would panic, as if they were facing a great enemy, or directly attack him. Yang Kai, however, was different. Although there was a trace of fear in his eyes, he did not lose his composure and remained calm. He truly admired him. Yang Kai lightly snorted. He was able to recognize this man's identity because he had inferred from Xue Li and Meng Ji's attitude. These two were demon general, their strength reaching the heavens, and besides the current demon commander, there was no one else who could make them willingly stand behind him and show such awe. Yang Kai had fantasized countless times about what kind of person the current demon commander was. Perhaps he was as strong as a bear. Perhaps he had a sinister and cunning face. Or perhaps they were free and unrestrained. But he had never thought that the current demon lord would actually have such a plain and ordinary appearance. If it weren't for the gaudy cloak he was wearing, even if he walked in the crowd, he wouldn't attract the attention of others. When others looked at him, the only thing they cared about was his clothes, not his person. Was this the demon lord who had sealed Meng Wuya's strength? Yang Kai couldn't help but feel that it was unreal. Yang Shengzhu, there is no need to doubt, this senior is indeed the current demon commander, Zhang Yuan. Yes, Xue Li and Mungo can prove it for me. The demon sovereign was still smiling indifferently. I don't doubt it. Yang Kai took a deep breath. I just don't understand. Why aren't you guarding the demon land? Why did you come all the way here? There doesn't seem to be anything here that's worth a trip for you, right? Perceiving Yang Kai's hostility and rejection, Zhang Yuan rubbed his nose and smiled. This senior said that I came here to talk to Yang Shengzhu about something. What do we have to talk about? Yang Kai frowned. There is. Zhang Yuan insisted, glancing around for a moment before saying, this isn't a good place to talk. Yang Shengzhu, can you arrange a quiet place for us to talk? Saying so, he turned to Yang Kai with a smile. Master. Li Rong, who had been standing behind Yang Kai, stared at Zhang Yuan with dread in her beautiful eyes and quickly said, be careful of his schemes. Don't agree with him. Han Fei also interjected. Yang Kai frowned and shook his head. I'll talk to him. From the looks of it, he doesn't seem to have come here looking for trouble. It seems he really has something he wants to say to me. If he had come here looking for trouble or to avenge Meng Gu and Xue Li's humiliation, with Zhang Yuan's strength, there would be no need for him to speak too much nonsense. He could just start a fight. Although he might not be able to do anything to Yang Kai, if a third order saint were to fight here, the thousands of people gathered in High Heaven Pavilion would likely suffer a calamity. This was the best way to retaliate against Yang Kai. Please come in. Yang Kai shouted, stretching out his hand and motioning for them to enter High Heaven Pavilion, leading the way. Many thanks for your hospitality. Zhang Yuan gently nodded and followed behind Yang Kai with Meng Gu and Xue Li. After the group of 6 gradually disappeared, the thousands of people present breathed a sigh of relief. The oppressive aura just now had almost suffocated them. Who was that guy just now? He seemed very powerful. Brother Yang called him the demon commander. What's a demon commander? Shi Kun, old man Chang Imo, how much do you know about this matter? Ling Tai Su and 4th Master Yang walked up to Shi Kun and asked. None of them knew much about this place called Tong Xian Realm. Shi Kun's face was pale as he heard the whispers of many people around him, smiling bitterly as he muttered, ignorance is bliss. Demon commander. Even he had never seen such a thing before, but everyone here was discussing what the demon commander was. If this name was mentioned anywhere in Tong Xian Realm, it would cause an uproar, but here, it only aroused the curiosity of many people. The demon commander can be said to be one of the strongest masters in Tong Xian Realm. As for how strong he really is, and let me give you an example, do you think I am strong? The group of people gathered around Shi Kun nodded vigorously. Half a year ago, no one here knew what a Saint Realm Master was. The blood warriors of the Yang family's Blood Warrior Hall had personally experienced the huge difference between a saint and a transcendent. In front of them, a Saint Realm Master was of course strong, and they could not resist such earth-shattering means. Shi Kun smiled bitterly. In your eyes I am indeed strong, but even if there were 100 of me, I would still die against the demon commander. He could crush me to dust with a single finger. Everyone paled as they finally understood how tyrannical the demon commander was. Then, isn't Kai in danger? Dong Suju screamed. Shi Kun scratched his head. Not necessarily. The demon commander didn't come here to fight. Moreover, The lady named Li Rong next to Holy Master is not weak either. With her protection, the demon commander may not be able to hurt Holy Master. You mean, that lady is as strong as the demon commander? Everyone was surprised, as if they had only just realized Li Rong's strength. I don't know. Shi Kun shrugged his shoulders, unable to give a definite answer. However, no matter how hard he racked his brain, he could not figure out why a person like the demon commander would come here to discuss something important with the Holy Master. The two of them had never met before, so what could they possibly discuss? Inside a large hall in High Heaven Pavilion, Yang Kai and the demon commander sat down. Li Rong and Han Fei stood behind Yang Kai while Xue Li and Meng Gu stood behind the demon commander. The atmosphere in the hall was tense and the air was heavy. Yang Kai was full of doubts but did not speak as he stared straight at the demon commander, unwilling to miss any of his actions. The demon commander, on the other hand, looked around the simple hall as if nothing had happened and praised, "A blessed land, a blessed land, this place was actually able to give birth to someone like Yang Shengzhu, truly a blessed land. This senior wishes he could have been born 1,000 years later and become brothers with Yang Shengzhu, traveling the world together." Inside the hall, everyone's expression became strange, none of them knowing what Zhang Yuan wanted to do. Immediately offering such flattery, everyone couldn't help feeling like he was trying to steal something. "Demon Commander, if you have something to say, just say it, you are not welcome here," Yang Kai said in a deep voice, his expression becoming impatient. With such a master sitting in front of him, Yang Kai felt a great deal of pressure. He wasn't worried about his own safety though. Even if they really fought and his strength was no match for the demon commanders, he could simply tear space and escape. He could even use the Flying Heavens shuttle. With the Flying Heavens shuttle, even the current demon commander would have to eat dust behind him, never to catch up. Yang Kai was worried about the safety of the thousands of people gathered here. Here were his fellow disciples, his clansmen, his parents, and brothers. There were too many things he needed to worry about. "Impudence!" Meng Gu shouted, "Little brat, don't think you can be so easily bullied. For Master Demon Commander to come here in person is your honor. He came here uninvited. I am the master, can't I drive him out?" Yang Kai sneered. "Meng Gu, shut up!" Zhang Yuan shouted, causing Meng Gu to immediately lower his head. Although they were both third-order saints, the demon commander was far stronger than any of the other demon general, which was why he could sit firmly in his current position. Zhang Yuan glanced over at Yang Kai and smiled. "Yang Shengzhu seems to be very wary of this senior. Good, this senior won't waste your time and will get straight to the point." Smiling, Zhang Yuan continued, "In fact, Yang Shengzhu doesn't need to be like this. Let's put it this way, the strength in your hands is not inferior to this senior's. As for that lady behind you, even if her strength isn't as good as this senior's, she isn't far behind. This senior has 4 demon general subordinates, all of whom are third-order saints, but Yang Shengzhu's subordinates aren't bad either. If the two of us really have a falling out, it won't be good for either of us, isn't that right?" Yang Kai frowned, his expression calm, but he didn't say a word. He didn't know why the demon commander wanted to point out the difference in strength between the two sides. It was easy to think that the demon commander really didn't want Yang Kai to make such a big fuss. The strength of each side was about the same, so no one side had a huge advantage, so naturally, their status was equal. Zhang Yuan hesitated for a moment before continuing. "A few days ago, this senior heard that my 2 subordinates had no eyes and offended Yang Shengzhu. It was this senior who taught them a lesson. And the 2 of you apologize to Yang Shengzhu and let's turn big problems into small ones and small ones into nothing. Let's not hold grudges against each other in the future." As soon as the statement came out, Meng Gu and Xue Li's eyes became dull as they stared at Zhang Yuan incredulously. Neither of them had expected him to say such a thing. Even Yang Kai's expression became strange. Even if Zhang Yuan wanted to show goodwill, this was too much. Moreover, with his status, why would he do that? Yang Kai felt more and more that Zhang Yuan had ulterior motives, otherwise, it would be impossible for a character like him to allow his subordinates to be humiliated. Thinking so, Yang Kai's expression relaxed as he stared at Zhang Yuan with a relaxed smile on his face. He wanted to see what this demon lord wanted to do and what he wanted from him. As long as he had the map, the initiative would always be in Yang Kai's hands. Yang Kai's heart settled. Chapter 943. Inside the hall, Yang Kai smiled lightly while Demon Commander Zhang Yuan's expression remained calm. Standing behind him, Xueli and Meng Ji's eyes bulged as their bodies trembled slightly, a look of disbelief appearing on their faces. Demon Commander Master actually wanted them to apologize to this hateful human being? They could hardly believe their ears as they stared at Zhang Yuan in a daze, wanting to confirm this but not daring to ask. Zhang Yuan snorted and said unhappily, "What's wrong? Are you too deaf or mute? Didn't you hear this senior's words? Do you want this senior to personally apologize for you?" "We don't dare." Mengge and Xueli trembled as they noticed Zhang Yuan's anger and no longer dared to hesitate, hurriedly cupping their fists and gritting their teeth as they said, "We have offended you many times before, we ask Yang Xingzhu to forgive us." Although they had been forced to apologize to Yang Kai by Zhang Yuan, anyone could see that as long as they found an opportunity, they would definitely seek revenge for this humiliation. Zhang Yuan's coercion had not only failed to resolve the grievances between the two sides, but instead deepened their hatred and anger towards Yang Kai. Yang Kai remained indifferent and did not say anything. Zhang Yuan laughed loudly, seemingly very happy. "That's right, since you've done something wrong, naturally you have to apologize. Good, let's not hate each other in the future. I also want to make friends with Yang Xingzhu." "I don't want to," Yang Kai chuckled meaningfully. Zhang Yuan's expression became bitter as he said, "Not giving me this little bit of face, Yang Xingzhu is simply too unreasonable." The two of them exchanged a few words, and although there was no trace of blood or knife between them, everyone standing behind them couldn't help trembling in fear, fearing that the two of them would really start fighting. However, the two of them both wore genial smiles on their faces and seemed to be in a harmonious atmosphere. Meng and Xueli's mood was like a tidal wave as they felt uncomfortable. Last time, Xueli had broken into human territory without permission and was injured by Chu Ling Xiao, forcing her to hurriedly return to the demon land without telling anyone. A month and a half ago, she and Mungo met Yang Kai by chance. After a fierce battle, she left in a hurry. Originally, she wanted to keep this matter a secret, but Mengge was different from her. He was loyal to the demon commander. After returning to the demon land, he reported what had happened here. When Demon Commander Zhang Yuan heard this, he immediately set off from the demon capital and rushed here, saying that he wanted to see this Yang Xingzhu. With things having come to this point, Xueli could only helplessly lead the way with Mungo. Originally, they thought that the demon commander was going to help them regain their face and take revenge, so they were secretly looking forward to it. On the way here, the two of them had been thinking about how they would make that human boy suffer if he fell into their hands, so that they could vent the hatred in their hearts. Who would have thought that the Demon Lord Master would have such an attitude towards this human brat? The two demon generals' hearts were filled with bitterness. "Zhang Yuan, enough nonsense, tell me what you want to do?" Yang Kai smiled faintly and asked the question in his heart. Speaking in riddles with such a master, the one who was destined to suffer was himself, so Yang Kai decided to get straight to the point. Zhang Yuan sighed, not intending to conceal anything. It seems that Yang Xingzhu has also guessed that this senior has come here for some other purpose. "And I came here this time mainly to confirm one thing." "Confirm what?" Yang Kai narrowed his eyes at him. Zhang Yuan smiled and said, "I want to know if Yang Xingzhu is the successor of Great Demon God." As soon as this statement came out, everyone was stunned. Li Rong's eyes flashed coldly as she glared toward Zhang Yuan. Mungo and Xueli couldn't help opening their mouths in shock. The words Great Demon God had an unparalleled impact on anyone from the demon race. Yang Xingzhu doesn't need to deny it. Before Yang Kai could speak, Zhang Yuan raised his hand and interrupted him. Originally, this senior only had some suspicions, so he hurried over to confirm. After all, if you left here and returned to Nine Heavens' Holy Land, even this senior wouldn't dare trespass into human territory. Now it seems that Yang Shengzhu really is the successor, and absolutely. Zhang Yuan's expression and tone were very certain, but Yang Kai didn't deny it, simply curling his lips and asking, "Why are you so certain?" "Because these two ladies are loyal to you." Zhang Yuan turned his eyes to Li Rong and Han Fei, a trace of envy flashing across his eyes as he faintly said, "I have a lot of ancient books in my possession, each of which contains a great deal of information that is unknown to the world. Besides this senior, no one else knows about these things." One of the ancient records recorded the matters of the bloodline that served the great demonic god. They called themselves the Ancient Demon Clan and were close confidants of Great Demon God, vowing that they would only ever serve and be loyal to Great Demon God. Unfortunately, before Great Demon God Master fell, they went into hiding and no one knows where they went. Rumor has it that they were exterminated because they controlled too much power. Great Demon God Master was worried that after his fall, no one would be able to control them, so he personally destroyed them. But I know that these rumors are false. Great Demon God Master sealed them away in order to leave this power to his successor. These two ladies are from the Ancient Demon Clan, and since they are willing to pledge their loyalty to you, Yang Shengzhu's identity is clear at a glance. Because it is impossible for the Ancient Demon Clan to be loyal to anyone else, even this senior wouldn't place them in his eyes. As Demon Commander Zhang Yuan spoke, Yang Kai just listened quietly, not interjecting. After he finished speaking, Yang Kai nodded lightly. It seems that Demon Commander Master knows many secrets that others don't. His expression was firm, so even if Yang Kai wanted to deny it, it was useless. Zhang Yuan nodded proudly. "I also know why Great Demon God Master sealed the Ancient Demon Clan and why he wanted to leave this power to his successor. All of this was left behind by Great Demon God many years ago." Yang Kai couldn't help feeling curious, but as soon as he spoke, he realized something was wrong. Silently, his thoughts had been led by Zhang Yuan and he had suddenly lost the initiative. This discovery made him feel so depressed he wanted to cough up blood. Yang Kai had no choice but to pretend that nothing had happened, secretly reminding himself that this guy in front of him was an old fox who had lived for who knows how long, so he couldn't afford to fall for his tricks again. Zhang Yuan chuckled, "For the upcoming catastrophe." Catastrophe? Yang Kai was stunned. "And as for what this catastrophe is, I don't know, but Yang Shengzhu can figure it out." Zhang Yuan quickly said. "If even you don't understand it, how could I?" Yang Kai shook his head repeatedly. Zhang Yuan's expression became serious as he said, "In my demon capital, there is a secret chamber left behind by Great Demon God Master. This secret chamber has many powerful spirit arrays, and several generations of demon commanders have tried to unravel its mysteries, but unfortunately, no one has been able to crack them." "Even you can't crack them?" Zhang Yuan shook his head, a look of yearning appearing on his face. "Great Demon God Master's methods are too profound, not something I can compare with. I always felt that his cultivation had surpassed the Saint Realm, perhaps even reaching a higher level." Yang Kai's body shook as he involuntarily came to the same conclusion as Zhang Yuan. When he and the two monster race great seniors entered that strange space and saw Great Demon God's various methods, Yang Kai had this conjecture at that time, but he couldn't bring himself to believe it. Unexpectedly, Zhang Yuan was also thinking the same thing. "I can't crack them, but Yang Shengzhu should be able to," Zhang Yuan continued. "I don't know why Yang Shengzhu was able to become Great Demon God's successor, but since he is his successor, you should have the Demon Mystic Tome in your hands, right?" "Demon Mystic Tome?" Menggu and Shueli exclaimed in unison, a trace of fanaticism appearing on their faces. It seemed that these four words had caused their blood to boil. Great Demon God obtained a complete soul-suppressing stone from somewhere and used it to create the Demon Mystic Tome. His various divine technique is hidden inside this Demon Mystic Tome. Whoever can open the Demon Mystic Tome will be his successor. Yang Shengzhu is Great Demon God's successor, so he should have obtained the Demon Mystic Tome. That thing is the key to opening the demon capital's barrier. Yang Kai's expression became strange as he thought about it for a moment before summoning the black book into his hand. "Are you talking about this?" Everyone's eyes immediately focused on the wordless black book. Meng Gunshueli's eyes filled with greed. Even Demon Commander Zhang Yuan couldn't help feeling moved. Guessing was one thing, seeing it with their own eyes was another. But soon, Zhang Yuan's expression returned to normal as he took a deep breath and nodded. Yes, this is the Demon Mystic Tome. It seems that everything is as I guessed, but the heavens have no eyes, actually allowing the Demon Mystic Tome to fall into the hands of a human. Zhang Yuan wore a look of regret, not bothering to conceal his true feelings. This was only natural. Great Demon God's successor should have been a member of the demon race, but the one who obtained the Demon Mystic Tome was actually Yang Kai. This made them feel a sense of grief and indignation. Whether this is the Demon Mystic Tome or not, I don't know. I just call it the wordless black book, Yang Kai said casually before putting the wordless black book back into his body chalk. Meng Gunshueli suddenly became frustrated as they stared sharply at Yang Kai, seemingly wanting to see where he had hidden the Demon Mystic Tome. Something made from such a large piece of soul-suppressing stone, not to mention whether it contained the various divine technique of great demon god, the value of the material itself was immeasurable. Anyone who saw it would be tempted. Let's talk about it. Zhang Yuan tried to maintain a calm state of mind as he stared at Yang Kai. This senior came here in person this time with sincerity. It stands to reason that your identity as great demon god's successor is enough to control the entire demon land. After all, the demon land was established by great demon master many years ago. This senior also believes that as long as you are given enough time, you can grow to the same height as great demon god, a height that even this senior cannot hope to reach. As soon as the statement came out, Meng Gunshueli couldn't help gulping as a trace of dread appeared in their eyes. Perceiving the hostility in their eyes, Li Rong and Han Fei secretly condensed their strength, preparing to attack at any moment. Chapter 944. Inside the hall, because of Zhang Yuan's words, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. As long as there was enough time, Yang Kai could grow to the same height as great demon god. These words made Meng Gunshueli feel a sense of crisis. Even Master Demon Commander had admitted that such a height was beyond his reach, so what if Yang Kai was allowed to grow up? Great demon god was able to sweep through the world and become invincible, so could this Yang Kai? At that time, he would be able to kill all living beings in this world. The two demon general couldn't help having the dangerous thought of strangling Yang Kai here, lest that day really came. Don't be rude. Zhang Yuan shouted. I already said that I want to be friends with Yang Shengzhu, so I will say whatever I want without concealing anything. If the two of you dare act so murderous again, this senior will cripple you first. Meng Gunshueli both wore shocked expressions, never having expected that Zhang Yuan would actually reprimand them for Yang Kai. Only now did they understand that Master Demon Commander's firm attitude was not just empty words, quickly bowing their heads and admitting their mistake. Zhang Yuan nodded with satisfaction before turning to Yang Kai. That being said, Yang Shengzhu, you shouldn't expect too much. Now that the demon land is in this senior's hands, it is impossible for me to hand over such a large piece of land to a mere human. I have no idea about the demon land. That would be for the best. Zhang Yuan nodded and chuckled. In fact, the safest way is for this senior to kill you and take your demon mystic tome. However, this senior knows that even if I kill you, I can't obtain the great demon god's inheritance. It is unique and irreplaceable. Since great demon god chose you, he must have his reasons. All members of the demon race are descendants of great demon god, so this senior only hopes that Yang Shengzhu will not treat us as enemies in the future. I swear in the name of great demon god that I will not harm you in the future, so please don't find trouble with me. How about it? Yang Kai secretly nodded. No demon dared to casually swear an oath in the name of the great demon god. These three words held immeasurable weight in the hearts of all demons. Even the current demon sovereign was the same. Yang Kai deeply recognized Zhang Yuan's sincerity, and his expression couldn't help becoming serious as he nodded. Good. Zhang Yuan laughed, a look of satisfaction appearing on his face. Then it's settled. Although Yang Shengzhu is young, His decisiveness in handling matters is very much to this senior's liking. Dealing with people like you isn't difficult at all. You're quite straightforward too. Then we're friends? Zhang Yuan looked at Yang Kai with a smile. In any case, he's not an enemy. Yang Kai also smiled. All right. Zhang Yuan stood up. Then that's all for today, it's time for me to leave. If Yang Shengzhu has some free time, please come to the demon capital. Firstly, this senior will be able to show this senior some hospitality, and secondly, this senior is very curious about the secrets left behind by the demon god master and would like to borrow the demon mystic tome. I wonder if Yang Shengzhu can agree? Good, I'll be there. Many thanks. In the future, if Holy Master Yang wishes to visit the demon capital, please inform us in advance. My demon land will allow you to travel freely, no one will harm you. Zhang Yuan gently nodded and immediately walked out after saying so. Li Rong, see these guests out. Yang Kai ordered. Li Rong immediately acted, escorting Zhang Yuan and the two demon general out of the hall. A moment later, she leisurely returned and together with Han Fei stared at Yang Kai. Master, do you really believe Zhang Yuan's words? What do you think? Yang Kai didn't answer directly. Li Rong thought about it carefully and nodded. He is indeed quite sincere, but after all, we are not familiar with him so we can't completely believe him. I think so too, Han Fei nodded. I actually think he's a good person, Yang Kai grinned, causing the two women to be stunned. Yang Kai wasn't a child. If Zhang Yuan could deceive him with just a few words, he wouldn't have lived to this day. Regarding Zhang Yuan's attitude and words, Yang Kai obviously had his own thoughts. Do you want to go to the demon capital? Of course, I want to go, Yang Kai nodded firmly. However, it wasn't because of Zhang Yuan's invitation, but rather because he was very curious about the secrets left behind by the great demon god. If his guess was correct, the secrets left behind by the great demon god were definitely related to what the soul clone of the great demon god had said in that strange space. When he brought Meng Wuya and his little senior sister back, the great demon god's soul clone had also told Yang Kai that if he had time, he should go to the demon capital. Once he arrived there, he would be able to figure out everything. Yang Kai didn't care much about this, but now that Zhang Yuan had come here, his words had given him an opportunity. All of the mysterious small worlds in the world had opened because he had destroyed that place, and the soul clone of the great demon god had said that it was the center of the entire world. What kind of shocking secret was hidden here? Yang Kai couldn't sleep or eat in peace until he figured it out. While contemplating this, a group of people rushed in from outside the hall, led by Ling Tai Su, all of them rushing over to ask if the demon commander had done anything to harm him just now. Yang Kai laughed and shook his head, repeatedly offering words of comfort. A few dozen kilometers away from High Heaven Pavilion, Zhang Yuan took Menggu and Xueli and quickly flew away. The two demon general followed behind the demon commander, staring at each other, unable to understand why the demon commander didn't take advantage of this opportunity to kill this human and instead chose to make friends with him. Such a terrifying person naturally had to be destroyed as soon as possible, lest he become a threat to the entire demon land in the future. As if seeing through the doubts in their hearts, Zhang Yuan, who was flying, suddenly said, "You can't kill him, don't even think about it." Menggu and Xueli trembled. Zhang Yuan continued, "Being chosen as the successor of the great demon god, how bad can that Yang Kai be? Don't just look at him as just a third-order transcendent. If he really goes all out, I estimate he'll be able to display strength comparable to a second-order saint." Really? Menggu and Xueli exclaimed. Why wouldn't he? Zhang Yuan chuckled. The great demon god master was famous for his ability to fight enemies above his own realm. It is rumored that he was able to easily defeat enemies several minor realms above him. You two are also demon general, how could you not know this? Menggu and Xueli were speechless. They were naturally aware of this information, but they didn't associate it with Yang Kai. That's just his own strength. Perhaps he has also mastered some kind of great demon god divine technique. If I can't kill him in one strike, I will only become his enemy. If he really matures in the future, my demon land will be finished. This senior cannot afford to take such a risk. Moreover, that woman from the ancient demon clan following him, this senior cannot defeat her. As long as she follows Yang Kai, no matter how big this world is, there is no one who can threaten his life. The two demon general couldn't help feeling a little dazed. Although they had personally experienced Li Rong's terrifying strength before and compared it to the demon commander, hearing Zhang Yuan admit that he couldn't win, Meng Gu and Xue Li still couldn't believe it. Then what Master said today? Meng Gu hesitated. I didn't lie to him, I really wanted to make friends with him. And if you want to make friends with someone, you have to do it while they are still weak. Once they are strong, it will be too late to make friends with them. Remember this, no matter what kind of grievances you had with him before, today is the end of it. Don't have any more conflicts with him in the future. I don't want to see the relationship I worked so hard to build be destroyed by you. Meng Gu and Xue Li felt a mix of emotions in their hearts, not knowing what to say for a while, only nodding. 5 days later, under Yang Kai's command, several thousand people passed through the void corridor and headed towards Tong Xian realm. After waiting for so many days, those who should have come had already arrived, those who hadn't would probably not come, so there was no need to wait any longer. What made Yang Kai feel gratified was that almost all the friends he had made were willing to follow him and entrust their lives to him. They all had complete confidence in Yang Kai. In the vicinity of the free and unfettered territory, Yang Kai, Li Rong, Han Fei, and Shi Kuan had arrived ahead of time and cleared out all the cultivator who had stayed nearby, leaving almost no one within a 50-kilometer radius. Shi Kuan looked at Yang Kai puzzledly and asked, Holy Master, won't doing this provoke public anger? In fact, as long as we clear out a 10-kilometer radius, everything will be fine. He didn't quite understand why Yang Kai wanted to clear out a 50-kilometer radius. You'll know soon enough, Yang Kai chuckled as he stared towards the void corridor. A group of people suddenly appeared, one after another. The first group to arrive was naturally the Yang family's direct descendants, all of them looking around curiously, as if they had arrived at a new world. When they noticed the richness of the world energy aura in this place, all of them were ecstatic, greedily inhaling the air, their faces filled with excitement. Under the guidance of Yang Kai, the first group of Yang family direct descendants flew down from the sky and found an open place to wait for the others to arrive. A beautiful figure mixed in with the Yang family direct descendants. After walking out of the void corridor, she looked around and immediately flew straight towards Yang Kai, landing in front of him with a smile. Isn't your Chiu family the fourth group? Why have you, the patriarch, come here yourself? Yang Kai looked at Chiu Yimeng in amazement. Chiu Yimeng stretched out her hand towards Yang Kai. I've come to ask for a gift. What gift? Didn't you say it yourself? You said a few days ago that when we arrived here, you would give me a big gift. As she spoke, her beautiful eyes filled with disappointment. What's wrong? You didn't forget, did you? Oh, you're talking about a gift. Yang Kai seemed to wake up from a dream and patted his head. I remember, I've already prepared one. Chiu Yimeng was suddenly overjoyed and hurriedly said, Give it to me quickly. If I'm not satisfied, I'll teach you a lesson. You'll definitely be satisfied. Yang Kai smiled and patted Chiu Yimeng. What are you doing? Chiu Yimeng looked at Yang Kai suspiciously, then glanced at the place he patted and found that there was no trace of it left behind. Just now, I spent a great deal of effort to help you improve your current realm. Yang Kai looked at her seriously. Feel it carefully. Do you feel anything special? Chiu Yimeng stared at him suspiciously, obviously wary of his words, but when she tried to sense them with her heart, her pretty face suddenly filled with astonishment as she muttered, Oh, I feel like I'm about to break through. Quickly find a place to comprehend the mysteries of this place. The surrounding 50-kilometer radius is all safe. Yang Kai waved his hand. Chiu Yimeng didn't dare delay in the slightest and quickly disappeared. So easy to deceive, Yang Kai sighed softly. Li Rong and Han Fei both smiled to the side. Chapter 945. It took 3 days for several thousand people to safely pass through the void corridor and arrive in Tong Xian realm. Within a 50-kilometer radius, Many cultivator from the Great Han Dynasty each found a suitable location and sat down cross-legged to comprehend the heavenly way and martial Tao, breaking through their own shackles and advancing their cultivation to the next level. Because of the different world principles, all cultivator who arrived in Tong Xian realm could obtain some improvement in their strength. Those cultivator on the verge of a breakthrough could naturally take advantage of this opportunity to break through in one fell swoop. When Yang Kai first set foot in this world, this was the case. When the ancient demon clan was brought out of the mysterious small world by Yang Kai, many of their clansmen had their cultivations improved. Now that it was the turn of the cultivator from the Great Han Dynasty, Yang Kai was already familiar with this process and had long since prepared for it, so he had purged the 50-kilometer radius to provide a safe environment for everyone to break through. Of the several thousand people, at least a third of them were on the verge of breaking through. Although the others were not so lucky, they were still satisfied. The yuan qi in their bodies and their own cultivation had improved somewhat, so they took the initiative to disperse and protect their companions who were about to break through. Qiu Yimeng came over from somewhere 10 kilometers away, gritting her teeth as she muttered under her breath, seemingly cursing something. Rushing over to Yang Kai's side, she raised her head and stared at him with her beautiful eyes. "Is this the gift you gave me? Are you satisfied?" Yang Kai grinned. "I'm satisfied, but this has nothing to do with you, right? Open your eyes wide and look around, so many people are breaking through." Qiu Yimeng stretched out her hand and pointed around. As far as the eye could see, countless cultivator were sitting cross-legged on the ground, inhaling and exhaling world energy, creating a spectacular scene. "It's fine as long as you're satisfied, don't be so serious. Remember this, if you disappoint a woman, I won't let you off." Qiu Yimeng stomped her foot bitterly and no longer bothered with Yang Kai, running over to where the Qiu family members were gathered. Yang Kai rubbed his nose helplessly. "Holy Master!" At this time, Shi Kuan appeared out of nowhere and said anxiously, "There's a large group of people coming this way. They look very aggressive. Something's not right." "Who is it?" Yang Kai frowned. Subordinate didn't have time to inquire, but there is a Saint Realm Master on the other side. "Let's go take a look." Yang Kai's expression was displeased. The only major force in the vicinity was the Free and Unfettered, but after so many of their experts had been killed, the Free and Unfettered seemed to have scattered. This time, when he had come from High Heaven Pavilion, Yang Kai had specifically asked Li Rong to go to the Free and Unfettered, but when Li Rong arrived, she found that there was no one there. At this time, who would be so blind as to run over? After walking a short distance, Yang Kai saw some small black dots on the horizon rapidly approaching. As time passed, the figures of that group of people became clearer and clearer. Releasing his divine sense, Yang Kai's expression became strange. He found that in this group of people, there was only one Saint Realm Master, a First-Order Saint Cultivator at that. The others were all transcendents with a few immortal Ascension Boundary Cultivators. What made Yang Kai feel strange was not that the strength of these people wasn't high, but that there were many familiar auras among them. Carefully perceiving them, Yang Kai couldn't help laughing. The approaching group of cultivators apparently also noticed the situation here and stopped a kilometer away, the leader of the group shouting, "Dare I ask if you are friends from the Free and Unfettered? This one is Dragon Phoenix Palace's Palace Master, Chen Zhou. We have come here today to ask for your guidance." Dragon Phoenix Palace? Li Rong, who was standing behind Yang Kai, frowned, having no impression of this unknown sect. "We're on the same side," Yang Kai said casually before calling out, "Sun Yu, are you over there?" As soon as this statement came out, the Dragon Phoenix Palace cultivator all frowned. Palace Master Chen Zhou even moved slightly, firmly blocking the figure of a young man in the crowd, preventing Yang Kai from seeing him. "Disciple, someone over there is calling out to you. Do you have friends from the Free and Unfettered?" Ling Jian looked suspiciously at Sun Yu, who was being protected in the middle. As his master, he naturally knew his disciple's life experience the best. Sun Yu had been picked up by Ling Jian when he was very young and brought to Dragon Phoenix Palace to cultivate. Over the years, Sun Yu had never left Dragon Phoenix Palace. If he hadn't insisted on coming here this time, How could Ling Jian have allowed him to go out so easily? Now, he was the future hope of the entire Dragon Phoenix Palace and could not be allowed to have any accidents. Sun Yu had almost never left Dragon Phoenix Palace, so how could he know people from the free and unfettered? Ling Jian was confused. Palace Master Qinzhou also turned his eyes to Sun Yu and asked, "Do you know the one who called out to you?" Sun Yu's face filled with ecstasy, but he didn't answer and simply walked out of the crowd, a look of awe on his face as he called out, "Is that Senior Yang?" Yang Kai smiled and nodded, "Yes. It really is Senior Yang." Sun Yu was overjoyed and quickly broke away from the crowd and flew over. The expressions of the Dragon Phoenix Palace masters all changed greatly as they quickly followed after him. "Old man Ling Chong, who is this Senior Yang that Sun Yu mentioned? Why is he so enthusiastic?" Chen Zhou asked curiously as they flew. "This old master doesn't know either." Ling Jian was also confused. As they spoke, everyone arrived in front of Yang Kai. Sun Yu wore an excited expression as he respectfully cupped his fists. "Greetings, Senior Yang, it turns out you are also here." Yang Kai nodded gently, his eyes sweeping past Sun Yu and looking behind him. Inside Dragon Phoenix Palace, almost all of the masters had followed Sun Yu here, forming layers upon layers of guards. Even at this moment, all of them were staring at Yang Kai vigilantly, fearing he would act against Sun Yu. "Right, let me introduce you." Sun Yu excitedly pointed to Yang Kai and said, "This is Senior Yang." Then, pointing to the people from Dragon Phoenix Palace, he said, "This is our Palace Master Qinzhou, this is my Master Ling Jian, this is Elder Xiao Ling, this is..." After each introduction, Yang Kai nodded and greeted each of them. "Young man, what qualifications do you have to call me senior?" Chen Zhou asked with some displeasure. Sun Yu was now the Dragon Emperor of Dragon Phoenix Palace, his status far higher than even Palace Master Qinzhou's, but now, Sun Yu was actually calling such a young man senior, making Qinzhou feel very uncomfortable, as if the Dragon Emperor was being belittled. If Yang Kai was a middle-aged man, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Qinzhou clearly saw that he was a young man in his late 20s. "Palace Master, this Senior Yang has shown me great kindness, I won't allow you to speak of him like that," Sun Yu snorted. Chen Zhou was stunned, his expression becoming awkward as he cupped his fists and said, "Friend, please don't take offense, this one's mouth is a bit blunt, I mean no harm." Palace Master Qin is too polite. Yang Kai didn't care at all. Chen Zhou immediately compromising and changing his attitude because of Sun Yu's words showed just how much importance he attached to Sun Yu. Next to him, the elder from Dragon Phoenix Palace named Xiao Ling suddenly stared at Shi Kuan, hesitating for a moment before asking, "May I ask if your excellency is Elder Shi Kuan of Nine Heavens Holy Land?" "Indeed, have we met before?" Shi Kuan looked at him suspiciously. Xiao Ling's expression became strange as he exclaimed, "No wonder you look familiar. Half a year ago, this Xiao went to Nine Heavens Holy Land to request alchemy from a grandmaster. At that time, Elder Shi Kuan was sitting in the stone pavilion outside the Nine Peaks, so this Xiao has seen you before. However, Elder Shi Kuan probably doesn't have any impression of this Xiao." "So that's how it is?" Shi Kuan nodded. There were too many people who came to the Nine Peaks to request alchemy services every day. How could he remember each one? "Your Dragon Phoenix Palace went there to request alchemy services?" Yang Kai looked at Sun Yu. Elder Xiao Changjiao came back and said there were many people waiting in line. He waited for a month before it was his turn and gave all the alchemy services he requested to me, Sun Yu smiled. "If you want to request alchemy services in the future, just tell me directly, there's no need to wait in line," Yang Kai said. In an instant, everyone from Dragon Phoenix Palace looked at Yang Kai in a different light. Chen Zhou hesitantly asked, "Dare I ask, what is your relationship with the Holy Master of Nine Heavens Holy Land, Yang Kai?" The Holy Land's Elder Shi Kuan was here, one step behind Yang Kai, so it was obvious he was the leader. Sun Yu had just called him Senior Yang. This made Chen Zhou think of many things, but he was also a man with keen eyesight and quick thinking, so he quickly made some guesses. "This is my Holy Master," Shi Kuan quickly said. Everyone from Dragon Phoenix Palace trembled as they stared at Yang Kai incredulously. Chen Zhou's expression was extremely awkward as he cupped his fists. So it is Yang Shengzhu. This Chen was ignorant just now and offended Yang Shengzhu. I hope Yang Kai can forgive me. As soon as they met, he had questioned Yang Kai without any sense of propriety, but how could he have imagined that this young man was the most famous person in the world? The difference in strength between Dragon Phoenix Palace and Nine Heavens Holy Land was simply too great, so if he really angered the other, Dragon Phoenix Palace would definitely not have a good end. Thinking so, Qin Zhou felt a chill run down his spine. Palace Master Qin doesn't need to worry, Sun Yu and I are friends, naturally I don't care about such matters. Yang Kai smiled lightly. Friends? Everyone from Dragon Phoenix Palace was dumbfounded, each of them blushing in excitement, as if being able to make friends with Yang Kai was a great honor. Turning their gazes towards Sun Yu again, their eyes filled with even more admiration and excitement. All of them secretly thought to themselves that the Dragon Emperor was truly worthy of being the Dragon Emperor, actually being able to make friends with such a character. Sun Yu was still so weak, yet he was able to obtain such good treatment from the Holy Master of Nine Heavens Holy Land. It seemed that this Yang Shengzhu was also a person with great vision and had long since seen through Sun Yu's extraordinariness. While the group of masters from Dragon Phoenix Palace were secretly celebrating, Yang Kai turned to Sun Yu and asked, "Why are you here?" Sun Yu scratched his head. Last time, Senior Yang asked me to inquire about some information, so I had been keeping an eye out for clues. Finally, I heard that this mysterious small world had some information that Senior Yang wanted, so I brought some people here. How could I have known that Senior Yang would also be here? And I also inquired about this place not long ago. Then these people? Sun Yu glanced around and found that there were between 4,000 and 5,000 people gathered here, somewhat dumbfounded. Chapter 946. The strength of the several thousand nearby cultivator wasn't too high, only a dozen or so transcendents were worth paying attention to. Most of the others were Immortal Ascension Boundary or Yuan Qi Boundary cultivators. This puzzled Sun Yu and the other masters from Dragon Phoenix Palace, wondering where this group of people had come from and what their relationship was with Yang Kai. "They're all my friends and relatives," Yang Kai explained lightly before solemnly saying, "In any case, I must thank you this time." Because of Yang Kai's words, Sun Yu had spared no effort in ordering Dragon Phoenix Palace to inquire about his whereabouts. After receiving the news, Sun Yu had personally led a group of people to this place. This made Yang Kai very grateful. At that time, Sun Yu had no other choice but to use all the connections he had. Yang Kai could imagine how Sun Yu had insisted on going out this time, and how the people from Dragon Phoenix Palace had tried to dissuade him, but he had refused without hesitation. This young man is very good. Shikuan, when you go back, tell Great Chang Mo to visit Dragon Phoenix Palace more often in the future, Yang Kai casually said. Yes. Shikuan quickly responded. This. Chen Zhou rubbed his big hands as a smile suddenly appeared on his face, not knowing what to say. What should I do? Dragon Phoenix Palace wasn't very strong right now, but Nine Heavens Holy Land was on the rise and had a mysterious alchemy grandmaster. There wasn't a sect that didn't want to establish a relationship with Nine Heavens Holy Land. Once they established a relationship with Nine Heavens Holy Land, they would receive huge benefits in the future. At the very least, they would have a guaranteed source of Saint Pills. Chen Zhou hadn't expected that this Yang Shengzhu would be so enthusiastic, causing his palace master's heart to tremble, causing him to momentarily lose his composure. Flushing with excitement, Chen Zhou quickly said, "This Chen thanks Yang Shengzhu for his kind intentions. From now on, Dragon Phoenix Palace will advance or retreat together with Nine Heavens Holy Land." Chen Zhou could be considered a man who had experienced great storms, but because of Yang Kai's words, his mood was still fluctuating. No need to be polite. Since you've come here, I need your help. Yang Kai suddenly thought of something. Yang Shengzhu, please speak, Chen Zhou said seriously. As Palace Master Chen can see, my friends and family all have different cultivations, and the distance from here to Nine Heavens Holy Land is quite far, so there is no telling what kind of accident we will encounter along the way. If it is convenient for Palace Master Qin, would you be willing to have your noble house escort us for a while? Yang Kai smiled and said, "Of course, once we arrive at the Holy Land, there will be generous rewards." Everyone from Dragon Phoenix Palace's eyes lit up. Sun Yu quickly waved his hand. "Senior Yang, there's no need to be so polite with me. If there's anything you need, feel free to tell us. Since we're already here, we'll follow you. As for compensation, there's no need to mention it." Chen Zhou calmed himself down and hurriedly said, Yang Shengzhu, acting like an outsider, is clearly looking down on my Dragon Phoenix Palace." Yang Kai gently nodded. "I'll have to trouble you." Sun Yu smiled happily. "That's great, I'll have another opportunity to learn from Senior Yang." The people from Dragon Phoenix Palace immediately spread out under Chen Zhou's arrangement and stood guard. They hadn't brought many people with them this time, only about 30 to 40, but most of them were transcendents. With such a group of people joining the team, their journey forward would definitely be much safer. After all, these people were very familiar with Tongxian realm, so it would be easier for them to deal with any problems they encountered, unlike the cultivator from the Great Han Dynasty who knew nothing about this place. Ling Jian quietly pulled Sun Yu aside and asked in a low voice, "Disciple, when did you meet that Yang Shengzhu? Listening to your tone, you seem to have studied with him for a while, right? How come Master doesn't know about this?" Sun Yu hesitated for a moment, not daring to tell the truth, causing Ling Jian to become even more suspicious. 2 days later, everything was ready and the several thousand people set off in the direction of Nine Heaven's Holy Land. The cultivator from the Great Han Dynasty had been observing the scenery along the way and was very curious about everything around them. From time to time, they would gather in groups of 3 or 5 and whisper to one another. The people from Dragon Phoenix Palace had become a hot commodity, each of them surrounded by countless cultivators who would ask them about Tongxian realm's situation. The masters from Dragon Phoenix Palace didn't dare neglect Yang Kai's friends and relatives, answering whatever they were asked. All day long, their moods were somewhat complicated as they didn't know whether to laugh or cry at these country bumpkins from the Great Han Dynasty, because they found that these people were completely ignorant of a lot of common sense. Sighing with emotion, they couldn't help wondering what kind of backwater the mysterious small world they had lived in before was. At the back of the crowd, Yang Kai and Sun Yu walked side by side, Sun Yu asking some questions about the martial Tao from time to time, and Yang Kai would also teach him. Not far away, Dragon Phoenix Palace's Palace Master Chen Zhou stared at the 2 beautiful figures in front of him with a thoughtful expression. Perceiving this, Yang Kai's brow rose and he asked, "Has Palace Master Chen discovered something interesting?" Chen Zhou smiled. "It's not a big deal, I'm just curious about the feeling the 2 girls in front of me give off. The 2 of them are almost identical, not only in terms of appearance, but also in terms of their life auras and yuan qi fluctuations. The only difference is their temperament. If I hadn't confirmed that they had just arrived in Tongxian realm, I would have thought they were from some sect." Yang Kai raised his brow and called out, "Jiao, hey." The Hu sisters, who were walking not far ahead, heard this call and hurriedly stopped. When Yang Kai approached, Hu Jiao asked, "What do you want?" Yang Kai ignored her and instead turned to Chen Zhou and asked, "Which sect does Palace Master Qin think they are from?" Chen Zhou was stunned for a moment before quickly replying, "Twin Spirit Pavilion, I wonder if Yang Shengzhu has heard of it." "Sure enough." Yang Kai nodded, "Naturally I have heard of it, and I have also heard that this Twin Spirit Pavilion has a good relationship with your sect." "The relationship between our 2 sects is indeed very good, but it is not without reason." Chen Zhou smiled bitterly and explained. The relationship between the 2 sects could be traced back to a very long time ago. Just as Yang Kai had guessed before, Dragon Phoenix Palace and Twin Spirit Pavilion were both extremely powerful sects a long time ago. Their status in the human domain was even higher than today's Nine Heaven's Holy Land. However, for some unknown reason, a pair of top masters from Twin Spirit Pavilion disappeared along with the Dragon Emperor and Phoenix Empress. Since then, the 2 sects had lost their most powerful inheritances and gradually declined. The relationship between the 2 sects had always been good, and over the years, their relationship had become closer and closer. Our Dragon Phoenix Palace is in a better position. Sun Yu has lived up to our expectations and opened the Dragon Emperor's inheritance, inheriting the Dragon Emperor's mantle. As long as he can find a suitable Phoenix Empress, my Dragon Phoenix Palace will surely regain its former glory. But Twin Spirit Pavilion? We still haven't heard anything about their inheritance. Qin Zhou sighed and said with some relief. Sun Yu, who was standing to the side, lowered his head, not daring to speak. Twin Spirit Pavilion? After listening for a long time, Hu Jiao finally reacted and asked with a slightly excited expression, "What kind of sect is Twin Spirit Pavilion?" Qin Zhou chuckled. "It's a very special sect. Because this force only recruits twin brothers and sisters, the disciples of this force always go out in pairs. And this is somewhat similar to our Dragon Phoenix Palace, but they are born from the same body while we cultivate male and female dual cultivation, so our natures are quite different." A force that only recruits twins? The Hu sisters' beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. And the feeling their disciples give off is very similar to the two of you. After cultivating their secret art, the aura, yuan qi, and life fluctuations of a twin brother and sister will gradually become identical. When the two of you join forces, their power is infinite. However, the two of you seem to be even more powerful than them. I have been to Twin Spirit Pavilion many times and have seen many of their disciples, but in this regard, they are inferior to you. Senior, do you know what kind of secret art they cultivate? Hu Jiao asked anxiously, her beautiful eyes filled with anticipation and nervousness. Yang Kai glanced at her and knew she had some suspicions. The secret art they cultivate seems to be called the Twin Qi Shared Spirit Divine Art, but a large part of it is missing. Although it has been repaired by later generations, it has never been able to restore the glory of their ancestors, Qin Zhou casually said. Although a sect's secret art would not be casually passed on to outsiders, the name of the secret art wasn't a secret, so it wasn't a big deal to reveal it. Twin Qi Shared Spirit Divine Art. Hu Jiao's tender body trembled, her beautiful eyes shining brightly. Elder sister? Hu Mei also covered her mouth and muttered incredulously, "Isn't that the secret art we obtained?" "You obtained it?" Chen Zhou exclaimed, staring at the Hu sisters in shock. Hu Jiao nodded. "The secret art we two sisters cultivate is the Twin Qi Shared Spirit Divine Art. Could it be related to Twin Spirit Pavilion?" "How could it not be related?" Chen Zhou looked excited. "That must be the lost inheritance of Twin Spirit Pavilion. I never expected it to be obtained by you two. No wonder your auras are so similar." After speaking for a while, he suddenly burst into laughter. "If Wu Fa and Wu Tian knew about this, I'm afraid they would be so excited they wouldn't be able to sleep." "Wu Fa and Wu Tian?" Yang Kai was stunned. "Oh, the two pavilion masters of Twin Spirit Pavilion are called Wu Fa and Wu Tian. They are a pair of twin brothers," Qin Zhou quickly explained. This name... Yang Kai couldn't help but laugh. It was really a cheap name, but this name was too arrogant, it would easily attract hatred. If some bad-tempered master encountered them, they would teach them a lesson about what it meant to be truly lawless. So that secret art came from Twin Spirit Pavilion. Hu Jiao's expression was complex, her beautiful eyes faintly shining. Since she and her sister obtained the Twin Qi Shared Spirit Divine Art, their paths in life seemed to have changed. The two of them improved their strength at a speed several times faster than ordinary people. In just a dozen years, they had broken through to the transcendent realm, becoming one of the few masters in the Great Han Dynasty. Towards this secret art, they were very grateful. Towards the senior who left behind this secret art, they were naturally in awe. Now that they knew the origin and sect of this cultivation technique, the two of them had the same idea at the same time, to go to the Twin Spirit Pavilion and take a look at the sect that this cultivation technique came from. They wanted to see their twin brothers and sisters who cultivated the same cultivation technique as them. Chapter 947. Naturally, the Hu sisters' thoughts could not be hidden from Yang Kai. Moreover, Yang Kai already had a plan. Sun Yu was treated like a treasure because Chen Zhou and the others mistakenly thought that he had unlocked the Dragon Emperor's inheritance. If the Hu sisters went to the Twin Spirit Pavilion with this Twin Spirit shared spirit divine art, their treatment wouldn't be bad. He would definitely become the rising star of the Twin Spirit Pavilion. This was because what they had obtained was the most orthodox version of the Twin Spirit shared spirit divine art, and was not something that the descendants of the Twin Spirit Pavilion had completed themselves. More importantly, the Twin Spirit Pavilion might have information that the Hu sisters needed. Over the years, the two sisters had been cultivating on their own, and although their strength had reached the First Order Transcendent Realm, it was nothing in Tong Xian Realm. The people in the Twin Spirit Pavilion undoubtedly had a deeper understanding of the Twin Spirit shared spirit divine art than they did, and could impart a lot of experience to them, which was much better than them cultivating on their own. Kai Yang, we want to... Hu Jiao Air stammered as she looked at Kai Yang, but he gestured her to stop, interrupting her. Headmaster Chen, how are the two pavilion masters of the Gemini Pavilion? Yang Kai asked seriously. He knew what the Hu sisters were thinking, but he didn't feel at ease letting them go to the Twin Spirit Pavilion. In terms of character, Yang Shengzhu can rest assured, I have dealt with them for many years and they are all honest people. The Twin Spirit Pavilion doesn't have many disciples, in total, no more than 1,000, so they have always been obedient and have never done anything outrageous. However, although there are only 1,000 of them, the Twin Spirit Pavilion status in Tong Xian Realm is no worse than my Dragon Phoenix Palaces. Wu Fa and Wu Tian are both First Order saints, the same as this Qin, but when the two of them join forces, they can defeat most Second Order saints, Chen Zhou explained. Then there's no problem. Yang Kai nodded. Chen Zhou's eyes lit up. If these two ladies can bring the complete Twin Qi shared divine art to the Twin Spirit Pavilion, Wu Fa and Wu Tian will definitely be overjoyed. There's no need to rush. Jiao and Mei should return to Nine Heavens Holy Land with me first. It won't be too late to make a decision after we arrive, Yang Kai chuckled. Oh. The Hu sisters were very obedient. Then, can I send a message to Wu Fa and Wu Tian to inform him of this good news? Chen Zhou asked cautiously as he observed Yang Kai's expression. Thank you, Manor Head Chen. Yang Kai nodded. Thank you. Chen Zhou gratefully called over Elder Xiao Ling of Dragon Phoenix Palace and told him to quickly go to Twin Spirit Pavilion and convey the news of the Hu sisters to Wu Fa and Wu Tian. Dragon Phoenix Palace and Twin Spirit Pavilion had always had a good relationship, and Chen Zhou, Wu Fa, and Wu Tian also had a good relationship. Sun Yu had opened the Dragon Emperor's inheritance, allowing the Dragon Emperor's power to reappear after thousands of years. While Chen Zhou was overjoyed, he also felt sorry for the Twin Spirit Pavilion. Now that he saw hope in the Hu sisters, he wanted to quickly inform his two friends and secretly rejoice for them. Yang Kai had already stepped into the middle of the group, walking side by side with Ling Tai-su. Hu Jiao Air and Hu Mei Air couldn't hide the excitement in their hearts as they stood on either side of Chen Zhou and asked him about the situation at the Twin Spirit Pavilion. Chen Zhou told them everything he knew, and the three of them chatted happily. Yang Shengzhu has taken great pains to think about the two of you. Chen Zhou suddenly smiled mysteriously. What does Senior mean by this? Hu Jiao Air was puzzled. Chen Zhou explained, Yang Shengzhu asked the two of you to return to Nine Heavens Holy Land with him first. I also sent a message to Twin Spirit Pavilion, so if Wu Fa and Wu Tian want to find you, they must go to Nine Heavens Holy Land. With Yang Shengzhu's relationship with them, Wu Fa and Wu Tian will definitely not treat you unfairly in the future. On the contrary, they will regard you as the future hope of the sect. On the other hand, if the two of you go directly to Twin Spirit Pavilion, the situation may be different. Hu Jiao Air thought about it for a moment and also felt that this was reasonable, her beautiful eyes faintly glancing towards Yang Kai in front of her and curling her lips. He's so crafty. He's also doing this for your own good. Chen Zhou nodded and smiled ambiguously, as if he had seen through something. After 3 months of continuous trekking, the thousands of people were finally about to reach their destination. When the news spread, everyone was excited and looked forward to the future. After such a long time, The cultivator from the Great Han Dynasty was also exhausted. After experiencing the initial curiosity and novelty, they couldn't wait to find a place to settle down and enjoy the rich world energy and the gifts of this world. This world was many times better than the cultivation environment of the Great Han Dynasty, so everyone was secretly looking forward to what kind of development they would have in the future. Nearly 100 kilometers away from the 9 peaks, a group of figures quickly flew over from 9 Heaven's Holy Land. When they arrived, all of them cupped their fists and saluted, "Holy Master." The several elders of the Holy Land had come out in full force, none of them missing, their eyes wandering around the thousands of people, full of curiosity. Yang Kai gently nodded and asked, "Is everything ready?" Great Elder Su Hui replied, "Everything is ready." In response to Elder Shirkuan's message, as early as a few days ago, we have refurbished the former site of War Spirit Temple and can now move in at any time, but there are still some places that need to be repaired. No problem, Yang Kai nodded, expressing satisfaction. 9 Heaven's Holy Land already had 3,000 disciples, and Yang Kai had brought 4,000 to 5,000 people this time. There was no way the 9 peaks could accommodate all of them, and even if they could, with so many people gathered in one place, the supply of world energy in the future would become a problem. As such, Yang Kai had already thought of a place to settle everyone. The former sites of Shattering Mystical Palace and War Spirit Temple were good choices. The places where these 2 sects had been established were also filled with rich world energy and beautiful scenery, making them very suitable for long-term residence. Most importantly, the buildings there were ready-made. However, the entrance to Star Field had now appeared in Shattering Mystical Palace, so Yang Kai didn't feel comfortable settling all of the Great Han Dynasty's people there, so he had stuffed them all into the former site of War Spirit Temple. Elder Shirkuan had also set off more than a month ago to rush back to 9 Heaven's Holy Land to convey Yang Kai's instructions. Now, everything had been arranged. All that was left was to wait for the people Yang Kai had brought to move in. War Spirit Temple was not far from 9 Heaven's Holy Land, and the most valuable thing was that it was located between the Holy Land and Netherworld sect. This way, no matter who wanted to harm them, they would have to go through either 9 Heaven's Holy Land or Netherworld sect first. The safety of the Great Han Dynasty's cultivator was strongly guaranteed. While on the road, Yang Kai had also told everyone about this matter. Yang Zhao, Qiu Yimeng, Huastars, and the other leaders of the various forces all expressed that there was no problem. Living in the former site of War Spirit Temple, if they wanted to find Yang Kai or come to 9 Heaven's Holy Land in the future, it would be extremely convenient for them. As the huge team moved forward, Yang Kai introduced the elders of the Holy Land and the leaders of the various forces of the Great Han Dynasty, allowing them to familiarize themselves with each other. Towards the people brought by Yang Kai, Su Hui and the other elders showed great humility, causing some of the younger generation leaders to feel flattered. They all knew very well that with their insignificant cultivations, if it weren't for their relationship with Yang Kai, these Saint Realm masters wouldn't even spare them a glance. But now, these masters who had lived for hundreds of years were treating them with great courtesy. For a moment, a subtle sense of excitement welled up within them as they deeply understood the extraordinary status of Yang Kai in this world. Yang Xingzhu, since we've arrived, we'll take our leave first. Qin Zhou suddenly came to Yang Kai's side and said. They had been away from Dragon Phoenix Palace for several months now, so it was time for them to return. Palace Master Qin must be tired after such a long journey. Please return to the Holy Land for a few days so I can show you some hospitality, Yang Kai said sincerely. Along the way, they had indeed encountered a lot of trouble. With several thousand people traveling together, there were always some people who didn't have eyes and tried to cause trouble. If it weren't for the people from Dragon Phoenix Palace properly handling the situation, Yang Kai would likely have already killed them all. Chen Zhou and the others had also done their best to escort Yang Kai, but now that they had arrived at their home, Yang Kai had no choice but to extend his greetings. Chen Zhou hesitated. Senior Yang has invited us, let's not refuse, Sun Yu interjected. Chen Zhou smiled bitterly, you little brat. Nodding, Chen Zhou cupped his fists and said, then I'll have to trouble you. Yang Kai smiled and nodded. Sun Yu sneakily came over to Yang Kai and asked in a low voice, "Senior Yang, when will you tell Palace Master the truth of this matter? Every time I see them treat me so respectfully, I feel a sense of guilt. How about this? After this matter is settled, I'll go find someone, and when I find that person, I'll go to your Dragon Phoenix Palace and explain everything." "Really?" Sun Yu was overjoyed. "Is the person Senior Yang is looking for the Phoenix Empress?" Sun Yu guessed casually. However, Yang Kai nodded and admitted, yes. It was time to find Su Yen. She had stayed in Ice Sect for more than 10 years and had been separated from Yang Kai for 7 years. Now that everyone from High Heaven Pavilion had come to Tong Xian Realm, it was time for her to return to the sect. After finding her and inheriting the Phoenix Empress inheritance, presumably her cultivation would reach a new height. Yang Kai was secretly looking forward to it. After an hour, the huge team passed through the 9 peaks and, under Yang Kai's orders, Su Hui personally led the group from Dragon Phoenix Palace into 9 Heaven's Holy Land. Everyone else continued to move forward towards the former site of War Spirit Temple. Yang Kai had already asked Su Hui to send some pills to Dragon Phoenix Palace as a thank you gift, so presumably Su Hui would be able to handle this matter well. After another hour, everyone finally arrived at the former site of War Spirit Temple. From a distance, Tribulation, the wizard of Netherworld sect, flew over and cupped his fists. "Yang Xingzhu, long time no see. Sect Master Wizard, how come you've come to help?" Yang Kai was a little surprised. Wizard Tribulation chuckled meaningfully, "I had nothing better to do, so I brought some disciples to help." "Are these people from Yang Xingzhu's hometown?" "Quite a few." Saying so, Tribulation glanced behind Yang Kai, secretly surprised. "And they will live here from now on, not far from Netherworld sect. I'll have to trouble Sect Master Wizard. Rest assured, as long as my Netherworld sect does not fall, no one can cross my sect's line of defense and bully this place." Wizard Tribulation patted his chest and vowed. Chapter 948. At the former site of War Spirit Temple, the various forces from the Great Han Dynasty settled in. After more than 10 days of discussion and arrangement, each force had their own place to stay. War Spirit Temple originally had several thousand disciples and occupied a vast area, so there was no problem in accommodating the Great Han Dynasty's cultivator. With a new home and a new atmosphere, everything was thriving. Yang Kai summoned the leaders of the various great forces and gave them some instructions, especially regarding the passage leading to the Star Gate in Shattering Mystical Palace, ordering them to strictly prohibit their disciples from entering at will. In that kind of place, even a Saint Realm Master would have a slim chance of survival, let alone this group of people from the Great Han Dynasty. This place is different from the Great Han Dynasty. You can no longer act independently like before. Everyone must treat each other as a family. It may take you a few years, a decade, or even a few decades to integrate into this world. Although the road ahead is bumpy, there is much more room for development here than there, Yang Kai said to the crowd. The leaders of the various forces all nodded. They were willing to follow Yang Kai here, so naturally they were mentally prepared. If they wanted to develop and make a living, they must seek common ground while reserving differences. They must give up their previous notions of family and sect and treat everyone as a whole. This kind of thing didn't need Yang Kai to say, they all understood. Fortunately, the people at the helm were basically all young people, so it was easier for them to communicate with each other. A large number of cultivation materials were sent over from the Holy Land and were properly handed over to everyone, so the cultivator who came here didn't need to worry about the lack of cultivation materials and could improve their cultivation without any worries. It was easy for the Holy Land to collect these cultivation materials now. The 5 Grandmasters and Xia Ningchang had been busy performing alchemy, and as the storm in the mysterious small world passed, the number of people coming to the Holy Land gradually increased. Every day there was a huge income, enough to support the 10 Holy Lands, so it didn't matter if a part of it was given to the Great Han Dynasty. During these 10 days, Xia Ningchang also rushed over and stayed for a few days, meeting with the people from High Heaven Pavilion, but because there were too many people from the Holy Land requesting alchemy, she had no choice but to return. More than 10 days later, everything was finally back on track. In a corner of the Hall of Heroic Spirits, Yang Kai appeared. He glanced at Ling Tai Su, who was standing there quietly, gazing into the distance with a deep gaze. He walked forward and said, "Grand Master." Ling Tai Su turned around and nodded with a smile. "You must be tired these days, right?" "I'm not tired." Yang Kai smiled. "Being able to settle all my family and friends here was one of my first wishes when I came to this world." Ling Tai Su showed a look of approval. "This time, you handled the matter very well. I think everyone who comes here will be grateful to you." Yang Kai gently breathed in and revealed a worried expression. "The only thing I'm worried about now is that they might have some sort of conflict in the future." Ling Tai Su laughed heartily. "There will definitely be conflicts. After all, the people who came here belong to too many different forces, but you don't need to worry. They are not unreasonable people. Even if there is a conflict, they will know how to resolve it. As long as they are willing to integrate into one, after 1 or 2 generations pass away, they can truly become one family. It's only a matter of time." "I hope so." Yang Kai nodded. He had done what he had to do. The rest would depend on the efforts of the great Han Dynasty's cultivator. On the way here, you mentioned Soaring Heaven sect to me." Ling Tai Su suddenly changed the subject. "Is there really the founder of High Heaven Pavilion there?" Yang Kai nodded. "It's true. When Disciple first came to this world, he was also taken care of by the founder and martial uncles." On the way here, Yang Kai had told High Heaven Pavilion about Soaring Heaven sect. At that time, High Heaven Pavilion had been very interested and had even expressed some excitement. Now that they were suddenly mentioning it again, it was obvious they had some sort of plan. "The founder is actually still alive." Ling Tai Su's face showed a look of yearning. "His strength must have reached the peak of enlightenment, right?" "The peak of cultivation," Yang Kai quickly said. Ling Tai Su took a deep breath. "I want to pay him a visit." He was High Heaven Pavilion sect master, but compared to Chu Ling Xiao, the difference in seniority was too great. Now that he learned that his sect's ancestral founder was still alive, he naturally wanted to pay him a visit. "I'll send you there," Yang Kai immediately said. "No need, you have many things to do, just find someone who knows the way to take me there." Ling Tai Su waved his hand. Yang Kai smiled mysteriously. If someone else were to go with Grandmaster, it would take at least 4 months, but if Disciple were to send you there, it would only take a few days. Ling Tai Su raised his brow. "Do you have a way to make it so fast?" "Grandmaster will know soon," Yang Kai smiled, thinking for a moment before saying, "Bring Sassafras with you." Ling Tai Su pondered for a moment before nodding. "Very well, he is now the sect master of High Heaven Pavilion. He should come with me to see the founder." Yang Kai immediately released his divine sense and searched for sassafras in the old site of War Spirit Temple. After a stick of incense worth of time, Sassafras rushed over. "Brother-in-law, Grand Sect Master, what did you call me for?" "I'll take you to see the sect's founder." Yang Kai grinned, summoned the Flying Heavens shuttle, flew up, and called out to Sassafras and Ling Tai Su. After they stood up, the Flying Heavens shuttle immediately turned into a streak of blue light and disappeared. Feeling the terrifying speed of the shuttle, Ling Tai Su and Sassafras both paled. Sassafras exclaimed, "Brother-in-law, what kind of artifact is that? Isn't it a bit too fast?" He had now reached the transcendent realm, but when he released his divine sense, he was unable to capture the surrounding scenery, which meant that the speed of the Flying Heavens shuttle was several times faster than his divine sense. The Flying Heavens shuttle, an artifact specifically designed for flight, Yang Kai explained casually. "That's amazing. With this kind of speed, if I wanted to go to 9 Heavens Holy Land in the future, I'm afraid I could arrive there in the blink of an eye," Sassafras said excitedly. "Brother-in-law, get me one too." Yang Kai's face went black. Ling Tai Su smiled and said, "Don't even think about it, I'm afraid it's not an easy treasure to obtain." "And in this world, I'm the only one," Yang Kai nodded and admitted. Sassafras was disappointed, only now realizing how precious the Flying Heavens shuttle was, a look of surprise appearing on his face. Brother-in-law, you can even obtain such a unique treasure. Your luck really surpasses the heavens. Right, you just said you wanted to take me to see the founder? What founder? Yang Kai immediately told him about Chu Ling Shao and Soaring Heaven sect. Sassafras listened and couldn't help looking forward to it. With nothing to do along the way, Yang Kai took this opportunity to instill some knowledge of Tong Xian realm into Sassafras and Ling Tai Su. 2 days later, they arrived at Soaring Heaven sect. Yang Kai rushed directly into Serene Resplendent Peak. Before he entered the mountain corridor though, a tender voice called out in his ear, "Little martial nephew." Turning his head towards the source of the voice, Yang Kai saw his martial aunt Fei Yu standing not far away and waving towards him, apparently having noticed his arrival. Beside her were Tsang Yan, Rimaru, Fei Jian, and the others. Yang Kai smiled happily and hurriedly rushed over with High Heaven Pavilion and Sassafras. I was wondering which idiot dared to trespass on Serene Resplendent Peak. It turns out it was you who came back. Fei Yu said enthusiastically as she stared at Yang Kai with her beautiful eyes. Why didn't you say anything in advance when you came back, always appearing and disappearing like a ghost? I just got here, Yang Kai grinned. In any case, it's not like I'm an outsider. You're the only one who dares to enter and leave my Serene Resplendent Peak at will. If Rimaru and the others dared to do so, I would have already beaten them to a pulp, Fei Yu snorted. Rimaru said with a look of grievance, why are you dragging me into this? I've never run over here without telling you first. These two are... Tsangyan looked at Ling Tai Su and Sassafras suspiciously, wondering why Yang Kai had brought these two to Soaring Heaven sect. This is the Grand Master I mentioned to you before, Ling Tai Su, and this is my junior brother, Sassafras. He is now the sect master of High Heaven Pavilion. High Heaven Pavilion. The 4 martial uncles were shocked, their eyes filled with surprise. The sect that ancestral founder founded in another world. High Heaven Pavilion's Ling Tai Su greets several brothers. Ling Tai Su cupped his fists. Although he looked much older than Tsang Yan and the others, Ling Tai Su knew that in terms of real age, each of these 4 was much older than him, so calling them brothers was only natural. Sassafras greets several martial uncles. Sassafras also hurriedly saluted. Good. Tsang Yan laughed and returned the greeting. Junior brother and martial nephew have finally returned to the sect. Good, if ancestral founder knew about this, he would be very happy. What about the other members of High Heaven Pavilion? Fei Yu asked with concern. I placed them near 9 Heavens Holy Land. The journey is too far, so they just arrived in Tong Xian realm, so I didn't let them come. It's fine, if there is a chance in the future, bring them along, Tsang Yan said. Come with me to see ancestral founder, we also have some matters to attend to. Many thanks, brother. Ling Tai Su's mood fluctuated, secretly excited. Inside Chu Ling Zhao's secluded cultivation room, the group found a place to sit down cross-legged. After learning about the origins of Ling Tai Su and Sassafras, Chu Ling Zhao also felt a little emotional. After talking for a while, Chu Ling Zhao said, when I founded High Heaven Pavilion, it was an idea I had on the spur of the moment. After guarding the demon general's body for too long, I found a few disciples and taught them, but I didn't expect that after I left, they would be able to bring about great prosperity to High Heaven Pavilion. How many of them can bring glory to High Heaven Pavilion? It seems I was a little irresponsible. If I had known earlier, I would have left more secret arts and manuals there. These years, you've suffered a lot. Ancestral founder is too serious. Ling Tai Su hurriedly said, it is also thanks to ancestral founder that this disciple can have today's achievements. Disciple being able to see ancestral founder in this lifetime is already a blessing from High Heaven Pavilion's ancestors. If they were to learn of this in the netherworld, they would surely be smiling in the afterlife. Good, Chu Ling Zhao gently nodded, a look of relief on his face. Chapter 949. Chu Ling Xiao was very concerned about the current situation of High Heaven Pavilion, while Ling Tai Su also wanted to chat with his ancestral founder. Seeing that they seemed to have a lot to talk about, Fei Yu beckoned to Yang Kai from the side before quietly withdrawing. Yang Kai quickly excused himself and left. Outside the secret room, following Yang Kai, Song Yan and the others also came out. They had come here to report something to Chu Ling Xiao, but seeing him and Ling Tai Su chatting happily, they did not disturb them. Little martial nephew, I heard your 9 Heavens Holy Lands development is quite good? Fei Yu looked at Yang Kai with a smile. It's just as so, Yang Kai grinned meaningfully. I also heard that the saintesses of your 9 Heavens Holy Land are all obedient to the Holy Master, is that true? Little martial nephew, how many saintesses have you found? Rimaru poked his head out and asked with a wretched expression before solemnly saying, Little boy, although you're young and strong, you need to exercise restraint, don't harm your body. Yang Kai's face went black, not knowing what to say, quickly changing the subject. Martial uncles, did you just come back from outside? Songyan nodded. We went to the Snow Mountain Range to investigate the situation. What's wrong? Did something happen? Yang Kai asked curiously. The 4 saints glanced at each other, Fei Yu thinking for a moment before asking, Little martial nephew isn't an outsider, why don't we talk about it? Song Yan nodded. We can talk about it. It's also a good opportunity for little martial nephew to remind your 9 Heavens Holy Land to pay attention. Seeing the dignified look on their faces, Yang Kai suddenly realized that this matter was somewhat unusual, otherwise, how could 4 Saint Realm Masters treat it so seriously? Come with us. Fei Yu beckoned and then led Yang Kai to the side with the other 3 martial uncles. More than half a year ago, the world's mysterious small worlds opened on their own. Little martial nephew should know, right? As they walked, Sungin asked. I know. Yang Kai gently nodded. On top of that, he also suspected that the opening of all the mysterious small worlds had something to do with him destroying the space where great demon god's soul clone was. Although there was no definitive evidence, the timing was quite consistent. It was when the space was destroyed that all the entrances to the small sealed world opened. We don't know if there is any connection between these 2 events, but ever since the entrances to the mysterious small worlds were all opened, something happened in the Snow Mountain Range. What's the situation? Yang Kai asked. A top-notch expert has mysteriously appeared, that Songyan replied in a low voice. Expert? A 3rd Order Saint. Yang Kai's expression changed. The number of 3rd Order Saints in the entire Tongxian realm could be counted on one's fingers. Among the 3 clans, the total number of such masters added together did not exceed 20. Yang Kai knew that the demon race only had 5 such masters. In addition to Demon Commander Zhang Yuan, there were also the 4 Demon General. On the monster race's side, only 3 monster race great seniors had reached such a level, namely Scarlet Flame Thunder Dragon, Earth-Shaking Divine Ox, and Ice Jade Python. The human race's side had slightly more such masters, but not by much. Such a master suddenly appearing in the Snow Mountain Range was naturally a cause for concern. Which race is it? Yang Kai hurriedly asked. The expressions of his 4 martial uncles suddenly became strange, that Songyan hesitating for a moment before saying, It is precisely because we cannot determine which race it is that it is puzzling. When we arrive, you'll understand. Yang Kai was stunned but no longer asked and simply followed the 4 martial uncles forward. Listening to what they said, it seemed that the 3rd Order Saint was being held captive in Soaring Heaven sect at this moment, which made Yang Kai feel somewhat puzzled. Capturing a 3rd Order Saint wasn't a simple matter. Wearing a puzzled expression, Yang Kai did not say a word. Following the 4 martial uncles through Soaring Heaven sect, Yang Kai soon arrived at the foot of a mountain peak. At the base of this mountain peak was a hidden entrance that led the group into a mountain corridor. Along the side of the corridor, bright torches flickered, giving off a somewhat gloomy atmosphere. Feeling the pressure on his body, Yang Kai's expression became solemn. Fei Yu took the initiative to explain, There is a large spirit array here that has a restraining effect. It is a place my Soaring Heaven sect uses to imprison powerful enemies, but this place was generally empty until a few months ago when it was opened. That master is being held here? The situation is very strange, we don't know how to explain it, it's best if you see it with your own eyes. Sangyan nodded. All the way down, Yang Kai felt the pressure on his body grow larger and larger, as if an entire mountain was pressing down on him, causing his breathing to become heavy. This was obviously the residual power of the spirit array. Although it was not specifically targeted at Yang Kai, it still made him feel some pressure. If it was specifically targeted, Yang Kai didn't know what kind of person would be able to withstand such pressure. After descending 1,000 meters or so, the group finally arrived at a dim stone room. Inside this stone room, bright lines of light flickered and gathered together to form a huge and complex pattern. At the center of this pattern was a humanoid figure that was bound. Chu Lingzhao's demon sealing chain was firmly wrapped around the humanoid creature's body, constantly releasing a scorching hot power that incinerated its body. At the same time, the humanoid creature's hands and feet were firmly bound by some unknown artifact. A terrifying murderous aura spread throughout the stone room. That's him. Sangyan pointed to the front and said, "Little martial nephew, look carefully. If your 9 Heavens Holy Land encounters such a creature in the future, you must be careful. We still can't determine which race he belongs to." Yang Kai looked towards the humanoid figure and his eyes suddenly shrank, calling out in horror, "Bone race." What? The 4 martial uncles all turned to look at him. Yang Kai frowned and quickly stepped forward, arriving in front of the humanoid figure and carefully examining it, becoming more and more certain of his judgment. The one bound here was actually a member of the bone race. "Little martial nephew, do you know this race?" Song Yen asked anxiously. "I've seen it before." Yang Kai nodded solemnly. "Where did you see it?" "Not much." Yang Kai shook his head. "All I know is that if we want to completely obliterate him, it's best to burn his bones to ashes, otherwise, once he fully recovers, he'll be very difficult to deal with." Indeed, this old master has never heard of such a strange race before, but I do know a thing or two about that ice sect. I didn't expect their bloodline to still be alive. Chu Lingxiao took a deep breath. Ancestral founder knows about ice sect? Yang Kai was surprised. Of course, that endless snow mountain range was where ice sect was founded a long time ago. Yang Kai was dumbfounded. However, this also explained why the bone race had appeared here. The decline of ice sect was inextricably related to the bone race. Presumably, a long time ago, they had fought with the bone race here and then chased them to that ice world, where they had been stationed. There, they had not appeared for a long time. Just as they returned, Su Hui, who had heard the news, reported, "Holy Master, 2 days ago, someone came to the Holy Land and asked to see you." Yang Kai asked. They said it was the pavilion master of Twin Spirit Pavilion, called Wu Fa or Wu Tian. Su Hui reported, after which he couldn't help laughing, obviously thinking that these 2 people's names were too arrogant. They came in person? Yang Kai raised his brow. While leading this group of cultivators to 9 Heavens Holy Land, Dragon Phoenix Palace's Palace Master Qinzhou had sent Elder Xiaoling to Twin Spirit Pavilion to report to them. Now that a few months had passed, Twin Spirit Pavilion had received word that they would indeed take action. However, the fact that the 2 pavilion masters had come in person showed that they really attached great importance to the Hu sisters. This made Yang Kai very satisfied. At least they had shown enough sincerity. "Does Holy Master want to see them?" Su Hui asked. "Of course I want to see them. Where are they now?" "They're in the Holy Land." "Good, continue to entertain them, tell them I'll be back soon." Su Hui nodded and quickly left. After he left, Yang Kai released his divine sense and searched War Spirit Temple, a moment later finding the location of the Hu sisters. His figure flickered and he quickly rushed over. War Spirit Temple covered a large area, and Blood Battle Gang was located in the northwest corner of War Spirit Temple. There was a complex of buildings there that could accommodate the Blood Battle Gang's disciples. At this moment, The Hu sisters and gang leader Hu Man were working with the disciples to take care of this new residence. They were repairing the damaged house and cleaning the floor. They were extremely busy. Seeing Yang Kai appear, Hu Man walked over with a hearty smile and cupped his fists. "Nephew Yang has come." The Hu sisters' beautiful eyes also lit up as they smiled like blooming flowers. Yang Kai nodded lightly and asked, "What do you think of this place? Are you satisfied?" Hu Man quickly said, "How could we be dissatisfied? Nephew Yang has already arranged everything and sent us a lot of cultivation materials. All we need to do is live here and cultivate in peace. We are completely satisfied with our current cultivation environment. There is nothing to be picky about." "That's good. Good. If you have any needs, just tell the Holy Land's elders. They will do everything possible to satisfy you. There is nothing we need." Hu Man laughed and changed the topic. "But if nephew Yang is free and can take the time to teach my 2 daughters, then this Hu will be very grateful. And it would be best if you could teach them day and night. There is no harm in teaching them personally. This Hu will be very relieved. Father, if you don't speak, no one will think you are mute." Hu Jiao Er's face turned red as she glared at her father. Since coming here, Hu Man had been constantly talking about Yang Kai in their ears. How could the Hu sisters not know what he was thinking? Now that he was saying such things in front of Yang Kai, Hu Jiao Er couldn't bear it. His intentions were clearly written on his face. Hu Man laughed dryly and tactfully left. "Don't pay attention to him." Hu Jiao Er walked over to Yang Kai's side, her face still red. "He is used to talking nonsense." "What business do you have with us?" Hu Man asked. "The people from Twin Spirit Pavilion have come," Yang Kai replied seriously. The Hu sisters' tender bodies trembled as they stared at Yang Kai with burning eyes. "The 2 people who have come are the 2 pavilion masters of Twin Spirit Pavilion. Their intentions are obvious and they are sincere. Now it is up to you to decide." The 2 sisters glanced at each other, seemingly unable to make a decision. After a moment, Hu Jiao Er said, "Whatever you say, we will do as you say." Chapter 951. 9 Heavens Holy Land, Guest Hall. Twin Spirit Pavilion's 2 pavilion masters, Wu Fa and Wu Tian, sat upright on their chairs with anxious expressions, as if they were sitting on pins and needles. From time to time, they would turn their heads to look outside, their eyes filled with anticipation. They had been here for a few days now, but had yet to see the Holy Master of 9 Heavens Holy Land or the twin sisters who cultivated the Twin Chi shared spirit divine art. His heart was as anxious as ants on a hot pan. With the Holy Land's great elder Chalk Old Man Su Hui accompanying them, none of them dared to show too much impatience, only able to secretly express their anxiety. A few years ago, an ordinary young disciple from Dragon Phoenix Palace entered Dragon Valley and opened the Dragon Emperor's inheritance, allowing the Dragon Emperor's power to reappear. In just 2 years, this young disciple's cultivation had broken through from the Yuan Qi Boundary 7th stage to the Immortal Ascension Boundary 7th stage. On the day he emerged from seclusion, Frozen Nether Cave Heaven, who had come to invade Dragon Phoenix Palace, was forced to retreat. Frozen Nether Cave Heaven suffered heavy casualties while Dragon Phoenix Palace emerged victorious. When the news reached the Twin Spirit Pavilion, Wu Fa and Wu Tian were incredibly envious. They also deeply understood the might of an ancient inheritance. While they were happy for Dragon Phoenix Palace, they were also somewhat disappointed. The supreme inheritances of Twin Spirit Pavilion and Dragon Phoenix Palace had both been severed at the same time, but now, new hope had appeared in Dragon Phoenix Palace while none existed in Twin Spirit Pavilion. In comparison, how could Wu Fa and Wu Tian feel at ease? He often sighed and lamented that the heavens did not favor the Twin Spirit Pavilion. However, a few years later, Dragon Phoenix Palace's old man Xiao Ling came to report happily that a pair of twin sisters who cultivated the Twin Chi shared spirit divine art had appeared in a mysterious small world. What's more, this pair of sisters had now arrived in Tong Xian Realm, in 9 Heavens Holy Land. Hearing this news, Wu Fa and Wu Tian immediately set out from the Twin Spirit Pavilion and rushed to this place, not daring to waste any time along the way, arriving at Nine Heavens' Holy Land as quickly as possible. However, they didn't see anyone, and even after asking Su Hui, Wu Fei and Wu Tian couldn't help feeling anxious. Fortunately, just now, Su Hui had rushed over and told them that the Holy Master would be arriving soon, telling them to calm down. Great Chalk Elder, may I ask when Yang Shengzhu will arrive? Wu Fei couldn't hold back the impatience in his heart. As soon as the words left his mouth, his expression became incomparably awkward. Because he had already asked this question Shengzhu, 3, he had already. He is, Pavilion Master Wu, isn't being a little Pavilion Master is he is being too anxious? To be Pavilion Master Wu is? Chalk, please don't mind Chalk to Chalk man. Right at this time, Wu Tian's body suddenly trembled as he said in a low voice, Big brother, they're here. Wu Fei also quickly released his divine sense, and sure enough, he noticed that someone was quickly approaching from outside. The two brothers couldn't sit still any longer, their figures flickering as they arrived outside the guest hall and gazed into the distance. A moment later, a green light flashed, and 3 silhouettes appeared leisurely. Divine Chalant his divines Sheng's twos to be understood Chalant, Sb's or Yang Bi. However, Wu Fei and Wu Tian's eyes were firmly attracted to the 2 women behind the young man. The 2 women looked exactly the same. Their life auras and true chi fluctuations were exactly the same. As they stood together, there seemed to be an invisible connection between them. Their true chi and true chi coexisted. Then we can go now, where do you want to go? I'll send you off. Yang Kai turned to Shui Yun and his daughter. Shui Yun wore a bitter expression as he helplessly said, Water Spirit Temple has been destroyed, we don't seem to have anywhere to go. Shui Ling also wore a sad and helpless expression, secretly feeling quite sad. Water Spirit Temple was their foundation, but now it had been completely occupied by the Bone Race, and all of its 2,000 disciples had been slaughtered. Even Blue Water City had suffered a calamity. It could be said that in this world, there was no place they particularly wanted to go. Of course, if Yang Shengzhu trusts this senior hopes you can enter that place alone. Impossible! Meng Wuya shook his head decisively, staring at Zhang Yuan with a sneer. You and the 4-demon general are here. If you let him follow you alone, wouldn't that be the same as sending a lamb to the tiger's den? No matter what, this old master and the others must follow. This old master doesn't trust you. In the past, he had suffered a big loss at the hands of the demon commander, and had learned from his mistakes. Zhang Yuan looked at Meng Wuya helplessly, aware of the latter's firm attitude, hesitated for a moment before nodding. Good, then everyone will go together. However, this senior still has the same condition. No matter what you see there, you cannot leak it out, otherwise. Otherwise what? Meng Wuya looked at Zhang Yuan provocatively. Nothing. This senior cherishes his friendship with Yang Shengzhu very much and doesn't want to make things difficult for anyone. Zhang Yuan smiled lightly and no longer said anything, beckoning to his group. Everyone, please follow me. The 4-demon general excitedly followed. They were also very curious about the secret left behind by Great Demon God. Before, they had only heard rumors about it and had never been to that place, but now that they had the opportunity to see it with their own eyes, it was all thanks to Yang Kai. Chapter 971. A chaotic battle raged from day to night. The entire sky above the sea had become a battlefield, and the number of Bone Race soldiers was rapidly decreasing. The original 2,500 people had been reduced to a few hundred in just one day, and this number was still rapidly decreasing. The human, monster, and demon clans, who had numbered over 1,000, had now lost nearly half of their original numbers. All of them had fallen on this battlefield without any hope of survival. Both the Transcendent Realm and Saint Realm cultivators had fallen. In such a chaotic battle, the strength of a single person was simply too small. Only those who had reached the Third Order Saint Realm could freely move about the battlefield unscrupulously. Yang Kai transformed into his golden dragon form, the bloodthirsty nature of his bones seemingly aroused as he madly slaughtered the Bone Race soldiers. His burning hot power was the Bone Race's greatest nemesis, so whenever he spat out a mouthful of hot air, any Bone Race soldier below the Saint Realm would be reduced to a puddle of blood, even their bones melting. The situation gradually changed from a stalemate to a one-sided one. After the human, monster, and demon clans gained the upper hand, they expanded their advantage until the Bone Race could no longer resist and could only be slaughtered like pigs and dogs. However, Yang Kai still had a bad feeling about this. He had been looking for the Bone Race leader, Kaluo, but since the start of the chaotic battle, this guy had not shown up again, so no one knew where he had gone. Many masters were too busy fighting the enemy in front of them to care about anything else. Yang Kai flew up into the sky, no longer paying attention to these stray cats and dogs. Releasing his divine sense, Yang Kai began to search for Kaluo's whereabouts. This person was the leader of the Bone Race and should be the most powerful existence there. If he did not die in this battle, even if the Bone Race was completely annihilated, it would be meaningless. After a long time though, Yang Kai frowned. Kaluo seemed to be no longer here and had long since fled. Even after releasing his divine sense, Yang Kai was unable to detect his aura. Yang Kai's heart sank to the bottom as he continued to explore. After a cup of tea's worth of time, Yang Kai finally found some clues. The flesh and blood essence of the Bone Race, Human Race, Demon Race, and Human Race experts who had died on the battlefield were seeping into the ground and converging towards a certain source. At that source, an extremely powerful aura was hibernating. Koro! Yang Kai swooped down without any hesitation. His golden dragon body transformed into a dazzling golden light, and like a sun falling from the sky, he smashed heavily into the ground. Boom! The earth trembled as the violent energy passed through the soil and into the ground. With a cold snort, Kaluo's figure emerged from the ground, an abnormal red light flashing across his face as he proudly looked down at the crowd, his green eyes filled with disdain and satisfaction. An astonishing energy fluctuation emanated from his body. Yang Kai's pupils shrank as he screamed in his heart. He saw that something was wrong. Kaluo had just steadied himself when a pitch-black demonic hand reached out from the void and grabbed towards Kaluo. The demonic hand grew larger and larger as it reached out, as if it could hold the entire world in its palm. This was Demon Commander Zhang Yuan's hand. Kaluo didn't seem to notice, standing motionless in midair. Zhang Yuan, retreat! Yang Kai quickly shouted. His shout was a bit too late. Zhang Yuan was the demon commander, the strongest master in the demon land, so he naturally had absolute confidence in his own strength, but just as his demonic hand was about to reach Kaluo, it seemed to have been pricked by a needle and was forced to withdraw. At night, the moon shone brightly like the stars in the sky. Inside the Holy Master Court, Yang Kai slowly walked over just as Ling was coming out. When she saw Yang Kai, she couldn't help gawking for a moment before immediately turning towards one of the rooms and giggling before quickly leaving, a look of schadenfreude on her face. Yang Kai glared at her for a moment before straightening his clothes and walking towards Xia Ningchang's room. Outside the door, Du Wan and the other 4 grandmasters were gathered together, each of them trying their best to persuade the other grandmasters, each of them trying their best to convince the other grandmasters. There was no movement inside the room. "Good evening, grandmasters," Yang Kai coughed dryly to attract their attention. In the darkness, 5 pairs of eyes shot towards Yang Kai, all of them looking at him with disdain. "You little brat." Chang Bao's fat jiggled as he took advantage of his seniority to reprimand Yang Kai. "You really don't know how lucky you are. What kind of character is Lady Xia? You should be grateful that she took a liking to you, yet you actually dared to make her sad. You really make this old master angry." Chapter 983. Standing on the meteorite, Yang Kai's expression was filled with excitement as he looked around. There were traces left behind by living creatures everywhere. There were actually traces left behind by living creatures on this meteorite. Yang Kai was so excited that he had almost begun to feel confused, not knowing where to go, but at this most critical moment, he had found a piece of information that lifted his spirits. His eyes suddenly became firm, no longer filled with confusion as he began to carefully investigate these traces. The meteorite Yang Kai was standing on was almost the size of a small hill, and there were many other meteorites of different sizes scattered around it, forming a sea of meteorites. Under the influence of the star field storm, these meteorites were shuttling back and forth endlessly through the star field. There were many potholes on this huge meteorite, none of which were naturally formed. Instead, they seemed to have been left behind by a series of energy collisions. There were also some neat cuts that seemed to have been made by swords. Someone fought here. Yang Kai understood. Inferring from these traces, the time of the battle was not too long ago, maybe a dozen days ago, maybe a month or 2 ago, at most no more than 3 months ago. Otherwise, these traces would have already been smoothed out by the violent storm in the star field. Yang Kai could almost imagine the scene of the battle, but what surprised him the most was that the strength of the people who fought here did not seem to be too high. This gave him a sense of reassurance. As a newcomer, he was also afraid that he would encounter a master who was too strong. Looking past the oncoming storm in the star field, Yang Kai looked deeper into the star field before immediately summoning his star shuttle and flying off in the opposite direction of the storm in the star field. The storm in the star field had come from that direction, which meant that the creatures who fought on the meteorite at that time might still be in that direction. Although the probability was small, it was worth a try. Yang Kai flew at full speed, releasing his divine sense to the maximum extent, not missing any meteorite that passed by him. From these meteorites, he really found some clues, all of which indicated that he was getting closer and closer to the creatures he was tracking. Yang Kai pushed his star shuttle even harder. He didn't know how much time had passed, but when he passed through the dark and cold star field, his eyes suddenly lit up and he stared blankly ahead. In front of him, in the vast star field, another vast and boundless territory appeared before his eyes. Star field was beautiful. Countless stars flickered with a moving luster, radiating vitality. He seemed to have arrived at the other end of star field. The beauty on this side and the deathly stillness on the other side were in stark contrast. Numerous large and small stars had been born in this territory since ancient times. They flew and rotated around a certain position in a special pattern. Colorful lights illuminated the entire star territory. Some of the stars were burning like fire, exuding a scorching heat. Yang Kai had no doubt that the power contained within those stars was enough to make any living being shrink back, unable to even approach them. Anyone who got close to it would be melted. This scorching power poured into Yang Kai's body, making him feel extremely comfortable and comfortable. This was the power of the Yang attribute. There were also some stars that were extremely cold, like huge balls of ice. The surrounding cold air covered these frozen stars, causing the surface of these stars to be covered in an icy aura visible to the naked eye. This aura seemed to be able to freeze the entire universe. There were also some stars that were completely green, very different from the other stars. They were not round but rather umbrella-shaped. Chapter 985. After a brief investigation, Yang Kai's face sank. He found that he had unknowingly arrived at a restricted area in star territory. Even Saint King Realm Masters didn't dare set foot in this place easily. All the correct routes drawn on the star map would avoid this place. The beautiful stars around him flickered with a moving luster, but at the same time, they also contained great danger. The danger here wasn't just the chaotic territory field that could cause one to lose their sense of direction, but also something even more terrifying. The woman didn't tell Yang Kai exactly what this danger was, but Yang Kai knew that it was enough to cause him to lose his life. Yang Kai once again fell into a state of confusion and helplessness, not knowing where to go. After absorbing the information left behind by the other party, Yang Kai stopped in place and pondered for a while before sending out his star shuttle to search for a way out. He didn't want to give up. He had just arrived at this vast star territory and had yet to see the real wonders of this place. As time passed, he decided on a direction and used his power without restraint to fly forward. However, there seemed to be no end to it. No matter how long he flew, he was still surrounded by countless beautiful stars. He even couldn't help but have the illusion that he was circling around a certain position, continuously turning in a large circle. The chaotic territory field affected his grasp of direction and judgment of his position. Often, even when he thought he was heading in the right direction, it was actually useless. The stars twinkled and the star field was so vast that Yang Kai didn't know how long he had been wandering here. Perhaps it was January or February, perhaps it was a year or so. Yang Kai had no idea how much time had passed. It was so long that Yang Kai's cultivation was steadily increasing, and in this rich world energy environment, he was rapidly breaking through to the second-order Saint Realm. The speed at which his strength increased was beyond his imagination. Finally, Yang Kai found some comfort and joy in his heart. Secretly, Yang Kai felt that staying here was not as bad as he had imagined. As long as he continued to search, he would eventually find a way out. One day, Yang Kai was sitting cross-legged atop his star shuttle, allowing it to fly forward while he meditated. At this moment, his heart was as calm as water, and he was no longer as nervous as he was at the beginning. Since he couldn't find a way out for the time being, he might as well take this opportunity to improve his strength. He believed that even in the entire star territory, such a cultivation environment was extremely rare. As long as they were strong enough, they would be able to break through the restrictions and confusion of this chaotic territory. Two strong divine soul fluctuations and life auras suddenly entered his senses. It was the two sisters he had met before. Yang Kai opened his eyes and his expression became strange. He never thought that he would actually be able to see them again. They seemed to be unable to find a way out and were lost in this chaotic abyss. At this moment, they were resting on a huge meteorite. They didn't continue to fly and let the meteorite take them forward aimlessly. The two of them were the only living beings that Yang Kai had met along the way. Yang Kai couldn't help but have a subtle feeling of sympathy for them. Thinking about it for a moment, Yang Kai summoned his star shuttle and flew towards the asteroid they were on. A moment later, Yang Kai landed on the meteorite and looked around, but didn't find them. Instead, he found the entrance to a cave not far away. What are they doing hiding inside? Yang Kai frowned. Walking straight to the entrance of the cave, Yang Kai shouted, "You're inside. Come in and talk." The voice of the two sisters came from inside. He Miao asked pitifully, "It doesn't matter if I share some with you." Yang Kai pondered for a moment. In any case, he didn't need to use crystal stones in the star field, and he could constantly absorb energy from his surroundings to enhance his cultivation. "Great, you're really a good person." He Miao cheered, her face filled with joy. "But what can you give me?" Yang Kai asked again. He Miao's joy stiffened on her face as the elder sister asked with some vigilance, "What do you want?" In the darkness, Yang Kai's eyes swept over the two sisters as he pondered. He really didn't know what to ask these two sisters to make up for his losses. "Forget it." The elder sister's face suddenly became gloomy and her attitude changed, coldly saying, "Just pretend we didn't say anything, we'd rather hide here forever." "Smelly man." He Miao also shouted, her beautiful eyes glaring fiercely towards Yang Kai, her face filled with vigilance. "Be careful or we sisters will join forces and beat you." They had obviously misunderstood Yang Kai, thinking he wanted to take advantage of their current situation. Yang Kai shook his head and smiled, taking out some crystal stones and pills from the demon mystic tome and placing them in front of them. "Consider this alone." He didn't take out too many crystal stones and only took out spirit pills, not even saint pills, even though he had many. After all, he and these two women could only be considered to have met by chance and did not have much of a friendship. If he really took out too many holy pills or spirit stones, it might make them coveted and the two sisters would really join hands to deal with him. Yang Kai had no choice but to guard against them. Yang Kai's actions stunned the two sisters on the spot, not knowing why he had suddenly become so easy to talk to. The coldness on the elder sister's face showed some signs of melting as she said apologetically, "If there is a chance, we will definitely return it 10 times over." "Then I wish you good luck," Yang Kai smiled. "I have to continue looking for a way out, so I won't disturb you any longer." Saying so, he turned around and walked out of the cave. Just as he was about to leave the cave, the elder sister's voice came from behind. "We are from Sword Union, my name is He Zhao and my sister is He Miao." "I'll remember, I hope we meet again," Yang Kai replied. After Yang Kai left, the two sisters He Zhao and He Miao glanced at each other and He Miao said, "What a strange person, not even telling us his name. Does he know any etiquette? At least he's not a bad person." He Zhao looked at the crystal stones and spirit pills in front of her with a faint gratefulness on her face. He really came from a very remote place. These crystal stones and spirit pills are of such poor quality that they can't provide much strength. He Miao pursed her lips and commented on the things Yang Kai left behind. "Be content with these things, we can explore this place for at least another 1 or 2 months without worrying about exhausting our strength. Although our chances are slim, we can't give up. Master may already be looking for us. If she can bring some reinforcements here, we may not necessarily die here." "Elder sister, I miss Master so much, I'll never come to this damned place again. If we hadn't been pursued by Purple Star this time, we wouldn't have fallen into this situation, let alone come so deep into the chaotic abyss. Will Purple Star's people chase after us? They definitely won't let us go. It's possible, after all, that thing is still in our hands. Damn it, I don't know how this information was leaked. There must be a mole in the Union, He Miao said decisively. Let's not worry about that for now. In the current situation, our survival is more important. The two sisters said as they carefully put away the crystal stones and spirit pills. Lu Shan frowned unhappily but didn't stop her, instead just reminding her, don't go too crazy. I know what I'm doing, Baya smiled tenderly. Following Baya all the way through the ship's hold, Yang Kai saw that she was very familiar with the interior structure of the ship. Along the way, they encountered many cultivators, none of whom had a cultivation below the transcendent realm, all of them saint realm. However, when these people saw Baya, they all avoided her in fear, as if they were avoiding a poisonous scorpion. Only after Baya had gone far away did they relax. When they looked at Yang Kai, who was being held by Baya, a look of sympathy appeared on each of their faces, mixed with a hint of schadenfreude. Yang Kai couldn't help feeling a bit uncomfortable. He could almost predict what this beautiful woman was going to do with him, and from the looks of these cultivators, he could infer that if she really did something to him, his end would likely be very miserable. Cheap slut. Yang Kai cursed in his heart, but his face remained expressionless, constantly observing the route they had taken, deeply imprinting it in his mind in an attempt to find a way out. After a while, Baya brought Yang Kai to a certain room. Opening the door, Baya beckoned to Yang Kai. Come in. Yang Kai walked in meekly and glanced around, quickly discovering that this should be Baya's residence. The whole room was filled with a faint fragrance, not too strong, but just right. The room was decorated with pink hues, making it look very warm and comfortable, causing anyone who entered to feel a sense of warmth and relaxation, letting down their guard. Inside the room, there was a small incense burner. He didn't know what kind of incense it was, but when Kai Yang took a whiff of it, his body involuntarily had some subtle reactions. His blood began to flow faster, and deep within his heart, his instincts began to awaken. Yang Kai's clear eyes were covered with a faint layer of red light. There seemed to be a soft whisper in his ears, one that seemed to steal his soul, causing his breathing to become heavy. At some point, Baya had arrived in front of Yang Kai, her pair of peach blossom eyes glowing with a strange light, her jade white hands stroking Yang Kai's chest, her face flushed red, making her look even more alluring. She looked at Kai Yang with satisfaction, her fiery hot tender body taking the initiative to press her full breasts against Kai Yang's sturdy chest. Her ruby red eyes wriggled, and a burst of suppressed moans came from her throat. She gently pushed Yang Kai towards the bed. What are you doing? Yang Kai's breathing was heavy as he stared at her, like a virgin. Hee. Baya seemed to be very satisfied with Yang Kai's reaction. That kind of expression that was filled with conflict was always one of her favorite things to see. She often destroyed the rationality of men, turning them into wild beasts, deriving great satisfaction from it. Baya approached Yang Kai step by step, forcing him to continuously retreat, her breath fragrant as she said, "This is elder sister's room, no one will come in, you can do whatever you want." Her breathing also became heavy, her tender body constantly twisting, the two protrusions on her chest becoming stiff as they rubbed against Yang Kai's chest, bringing about a burst of indescribable pleasure. At this moment, Baya seemed to have transformed into a dissatisfied woman. Kai Yang fell onto the fragrant bed, and she took the initiative to mount him. Without any trace of politeness, she began to undress Kai Yang. Kai Yang continuously swallowed his saliva, as if he had already fallen into her gentle embrace. Without any hesitation, he took the initiative to stretch out his two big hands and grab Feng Ting. Chapter 988. Baiya's tender body suddenly tensed up and she let out a soft moan before glaring at Yang Kai and whispering, "Be gentle, you're going to break me." Slut. Yang Kai cursed in his heart, but he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement in the depths of his heart, especially when he saw the two peaks in his hands. Their amazing elasticity almost made him lose his ability to think, and the heat radiating from his palms was enough to destroy his psychological defenses. Baiya seemed to be in a state of lust, but Yang Kai was keenly aware that the flow of power in her body had become strange. Her entire temperament was also changing without a trace, making her look even more charming and delicious. Any man who was ridden by her would not be able to resist her temptation. This beautiful woman was like a ripe peach, her exposed skin glowing with a strange red light, as if no matter which part of her body it was possible to squeeze out a handful of water. Such a woman had a fatal attraction to all men. Yang Kai's eyes became red as his pupils dilated, unable to control his body and mind, his two big hands mechanically kneading her peaks. It was as if he had lost his mind. After quietly observing for a while, Baiya's pair of beautiful eyes flashed a smug look. She knew that the man beneath her had been completely conquered by her, and now she could do whatever she wanted to him. She had captured countless men, and as she entangled herself with them, she could absorb all of their blood essence and use it to enhance her own strength. The men she had played with would often become dried corpses and be discarded at will. Although she had played with many men, a Saint Realm cultivator was still very difficult to obtain. After cultivating to such a degree, they generally wouldn't just sit still and allow her to do as she pleased. As such, she was very fond of people like Yang Kai, especially this young man with a strong and handsome physique, which was more to her liking. After confirming that Yang Kai had fallen, Baiya grinned and reached out to wipe the corner of her mouth, where saliva seemed to be leaking out. She unbuttoned her clothes, exposing her snow-white jade-like breasts to the air. Her jade-like hands reached out and grasped Yang Kai's erection. With a soft sigh, Baiya's beautiful eyes rippled as she muttered to herself, "Quite the capital." She was secretly delighted. She slightly raised her body and prepared to sit down. A strand of sparkling and translucent viscous liquid flowed out from between her legs and slid down her slender legs. Right at this moment, her movements paused, and her eyebrows knitted into a line. A trace of anger and dissatisfaction surged out of her pretty face as she turned her head to look outside the room. The moment she shifted her gaze, Yang Kai's already relaxed pupils contracted slightly, and the power that he had secretly gathered quietly dispersed. A series of hurried footsteps came from the corridor outside the door. Immediately, the door was pushed open and Lu Shan and Lu Sha appeared at the door. The two of them just stared at Baiya and Yang Kai, who were still in an ambiguous position on the bed, not showing the slightest intention of avoiding them. Lu Sha even whistled frivolously, his eyes constantly roaming over Baiya's body. "It's time to go," Lu Shan said lightly. "Really?" Baiya's expression became bitter. "Didn't we just come back?" "This is Master's order. If you have any complaints, just go to him," Lu Shan replied indifferently. "I'll give you 10 breaths of time." Saying so, he turned around and left. From beginning to end, he didn't pay any attention to Baiya, as if her perfect and seductive body was not attractive to him at all. Baiya stared down at Yang Kai, who was lying below her and had already lost all strength to resist, clenching her teeth, feeling a little reluctant and annoyed. Ku Meng quickly appeared and hurried over to Yang Kai, saying with some displeasure, "What are you doing? Little brat, did you forget what I just said to you? I'm telling you to behave yourself." "He stole a piece of my Saint Crystal when I wasn't paying attention." Yang Kai pointed to Shen Tu next to him. Ku Meng followed his finger and saw Shen Tu gripping the piece of low-rank Saint Crystal tightly, holding it in his arms like a precious treasure, refusing to let go. The smile on Shuntu's face suddenly stiffened and he was dumbstruck. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.